Okay. Yeah. So you guys, you get out of the temple and you travel for another 3 to 4 days or so. Nothing really super interesting happens there because you're all being like really cautious about, you know, scouting parties and that kind of thing. I'm assuming. Um, and as approach Blingdenstone, Jim Jar kind of pulls you all to the side and says that essentially there was a great um, raid on Blingdenstone by Menzo Baranzan a while back, and while in the past decade or so since then, the Deep Gnomes have returned and like reclaimed, resettled, rebuilt, that kind of thing, and have for the most part started to like resettle into this city. There are still all kinds of dangers here, so a lot of the city is ruined. A lot of just monsters and insanity going on down here. So he says like you guys need to stick close to me, and also the Deep Gnomes have a deep hatred for the Drow. So um, you guys are gonna have
Everyone has
to,
a deep.
well, even more so.
Even the drow have a deep hatred for the drow.
That's fair. Um, so you're gonna have to, keep quiet and let Jim Jar and the twins, if they choose to, do the talking to be able to enter the city, since there are Drow in your party. So coming up to, it's a gate. I mean, it doesn't look like a proper city gate. It's just an entrance through the walls that like some of the walls are broken down and some of them aren't. But this one has like an iron grate, and there's a couple gnomes standing outside that are clearly armed. Um, Jim Jar, you're gonna go up and talk to them. Try to convince them to allow your party entry.
Yeah, heading up to speak to the guards. Can I have a copy of Jim Jar's character sheet, please?
Well, before things get sideways, how do I do a long rest? Because I'm
He
still
already
sitting
gave
here
it
with
to you.
3 hit points.
No, you shouldn't be missing anything.
I agree.
No, but on the combat tracker, it's not showing you missing any hit points.
Oh, she is. Okay. I was not looking at the tracker, sorry.
Oh wait, no, that's because you're. Oh no, yeah, no, you are at the combat tracker near the bottom. You're not missing any hit points.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, heading up to the gate guards.
Okay. And they acknowledge you as a fellow deep gnome. What's your business?
Traveling.
What's with this? And they point towards the Drow and the rest of your party.
We're, we're a party of people who escaped from one of the drow prisons, one of the drow outposts. We're just trying to get away deeper away from the drow than we were. Getting the surface dwellers back to where they belong.
Okay. So they will ultimately, after a little bit of haggling about whether or not you should be allowed in, etc. they will share with you, or they'll allow you entry, and to get in, you have to basically kind of go down some stairs. And I will put
the pudding court. Okay.
Okay, this map is not gridded. Hold on. Okay, just the PCs on the map here. So, rising up to a broad terrace before the gate, these wide stairs are built... I'm sorry, you're going up the stairs. They're wide stairs, but they're built for gnomish feet, so they're actually difficult terrain for medium and larger creatures. You guys are like, as you're walking up the steps, like only half of your foot fits on each step. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
You get up to the main gate, which is inside the gate that you first came to, and it is fairly impressive. This is a steel and mithril gate. There are 8 more guards here, one of whom is holding a weird, like, purple gem that kind of like floats above his finger a little bit. They do a much more thorough questioning of all of you to try and determine your intentions. Are any of you lying? Like, do any of you intend harm to the citizens of Blingdenstone on your visit here?
No, I think the Adriel's kind of staying towards the back of the party, not even saying anything.
Okay.
No harm.
Nope.
No harm, but will defend myself.
Okay. And you did tell them that you were running away from some drow?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, they say that Chief Dorbo Diggermatic should hear your story. Because nobody really escapes from the drow prison. So this is, you know, even if they can't replicate it, they at least want to know how you did it, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So a couple of the guards are, like, told off to escort you through the maze and the gauntlet, which is this, you know, Area 3 and Area 4 here. So this is, like, just an absolutely crazy maze. As you're, like, walking through, you see, like, at different points, like, hidden guards will, like, kind of poke their head out and then just kind of, like, nod to the guards you're with and, like, poke their heads back in. And you get the impression that if you did not have permission to go through this maze, it would be real difficult to get through. And then reaching Section 4 on the map, if you guys go ahead and move your characters there. This is a gauntlet. It's basically like tower defense, gnome style. Like, on every side of this tunnel are just, like, arrow slits and murder holes and, like, just all kinds of ways for them to kill you before you get through this tunnel. It has a 30-foot high ceiling. There are spell gems all over the place. The floor is very, like, ornate. There are, like, very deep grooves in between the floor stones that you're walking on. Just to give you the idea that, like, you know, not all of the floorboards might be necessarily stable, unless they want them to be.
Lovely oil channels.
And they are going to take you to... so you come through into Area 5, which is the reception hall. It's a busy cavern that welcomes visitors to Blingdenstone and connects the most important chambers of the new settlements. As the guards are kind of, like, narrating your travels here, They point off in one direction and they say that leads to the Gold Whisker Warrens off that way. And that one right there, just don't worry about it. There's a cave in down that channel. And that one right there is like, don't go down there. Don't even try. And you see there's like all kinds of locked gates and guards and reinforcements standing at the third area. So then they lead you to Area 7. Which is the Central Market, the Trader's Grotto. And all around the walls here are like all kinds of crazy different like fungi that normally would grow in the Underdark, but they're all stone. And the guard makes some kind of comment about like a couple centuries ago somebody tried to cast a spell to like make the mushrooms a little bit safer to eat for everybody and like, you know, try to make them taste like meat or something like that, but they just all turned to stone instead. So now everybody just kind of has their like their booths and tables and everything set up like kind of in between these stone mushrooms that are just growing out of all these surfaces. You're going to come down into Area 8. This is a temple, and it's known as the Ruby in the Rough. It's dedicated to Segojan Earthcaller, the god of deep earth and nature of the deep gnomes. Getting kind of hustled through here rather quickly. You end up at Area 10. And this is a staging area. You notice here that the cave itself is fortified with barricades. It's defended by 8 deep gnomes and 4 cave badgers. And they are clearly facing that area to your east there and like waiting, like if anything were to come out from the east, they would be on it. So they are on guard against something in that area, but the guards just kind of keep hustling you through. You're going to end up in Area 12B.
Badger, mushroom.
Basically. And this is just a residential area. All these caverns branch off into smaller areas, caves serving as hovels for family of Snurfneblin, leading to secondary chambers and all that kind of stuff. And finally, you're going to make one more move there to Area 14, which is Diggermatic Hall. It's still a cave, but it's much larger, a little bit nicer than most of the ones you've been to or seen. So it's serving as kind of like the palace of the provisional government that they have in place here. And 24 or so Snurfneblin occupy this well-lit cavern, some moving briskly with messenger pouches in hand, while others huddle around several stone tables covered in maps and other papers, talking in hushed, serious tones. The back of the room is dominated by a dais carved from the rock of the cavern, atop which rest 2 stone desks facing each other. 2 Snurfneblin, one male, one female, sit behind the desks, conferring with advisors and each other. They turn their attention to you as you enter. One of the guards steps forward, and they gesture him to come up. He kind of like whispers in the man's ear, and then kind of like salutes, steps out. The other guard also leaves. So you guys are here alone in the room. They gesture for you to come forward, and they'd like to know everything that's happened to you guys, basically.
No, Jim Jow, quite happy to tell him everything.
Okay. So what points are you going to tell them about? What are like the highlights of the story you're telling them?
Well, escaping the drow, pretty much the only real highlight of the story. I might mention the tomb, just the the drow. How there was fighting, and we took the opportunity to escape while the drow was distracted.
Okay.
Other than that,
Have you witnessed anything strange or out of the ordinary in your travels that would hint at some sort of influence being exerted on the other people? And you guys haven't really met any other people, so that's kind of a moot point, but they specifically ask you about that.
no, we haven't run across any other people.
Okay. So at the end of this, which takes a couple hours, I mean, this is a, we're simplifying it here, but this is a whole like social thing, and they're kind of like asking questions, but being polite and listening and that kind of thing. They will offer you safe haven in Blingdenstone on the condition that you cause no trouble within the community.
Fidriel just nods. Even though he's in this city, he's still completely out of his element and freaked out by all this.
Well, pardon me for stepping in on my friend's conversation here, but when you say, was anybody apparently under an influence, what about those creatures that we saw with the mushrooms all over them?
The Diggermatics both kind of like lean forward in their seats. This is kind of what they wanted to hear. What were these creatures? What was the difference between them and a normal creature? Was there anything that you noticed? Did anything in the area seem to be just questions tumbling out of them at this point?
Well, describing the creatures to them and the fact that they were mutated by the mushrooms.
Okay, and they were what, more aggressive than normal, or you can really tell, or?
They're pretty damn aggressive.
Yeah, more aggressive than normal. A lot
Okay.
more aggressive than normal.
Okay, they kind of nod and look at each other. They seem a little bit kind of like rattled by what you said.
Why? What has been happening?
Well, they're just always dealing with these kind of incursions into Blingdenstone. There are quite a few things that they're working on just to keep themselves safe, but they've also been hearing rumors and seeing evidence that there might be some sort of demons or something that are influencing things to turn them monstrous and aggressive where they wouldn't normally be, and it's really causing problems because they can't use the tunnel systems as safely as they would normally be able to, because these things can like find them even if they're being sneaky, basically.
Okay.
That's a handy tip for Jim Jar.
Do you have any information on where they're originating from?
Deeper, just deeper into the Underdark. There's not a specific direction, but definitely under where we are now. Is there anything else you guys needed to ask about once you got to the city?
Out of character, yes. In character, no.
Okay. Um, what brought you to Blingdenstone specifically? After you escaped.
He was on our way to get Stool back home.
To get Stool back home. Okay.
Yes, and well, it was the nearest city which we could possibly get provisions and supplies from.
Well, certainly they do have a few marketplaces and vendors and such.
That's the main reason why we came here.
Yeah, I mean, Fidriel, I guess the one thing that did kind of bring his attention was the market, because he can definitely look for some more things to help with his brewing at this point, which is,
Absolutely.
you know, he thinks his drinking is definitely going to maybe help calm his nerves, so he wants to drink a lot more.
Okay.
And then, speaking for just a few of us, this is on the road to where we're hoping will take us back to the surface.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't say that because that's our main goal, right?
Okay, so you did bring up that you're trying to get to the surface from here?
Yeah, we said that at the gate originally as well.
Yeah.
Okay. My bad. So they basically tell you that, like, they'd love to help you, but Blingdenstone is under too much pressure on too many different fronts right now, and they can't spare anyone to guide you.
At that point, I'd speak up and, do you have any injured or healing ward around possibly that may need assistance?
The priests are pretty good at healing, so they don't have anyone who, like, needs healing that they can't provide.
Cool.
But yeah, they're just they just, with everything that's going on here, they don't have the resources to help you get to the surface.
Well, that's fine. Is there anything we may be able to do to help you?
There are a couple things that you could do to take some pressure off of the community.
Such as?
Such as there's some monster or magic in the northwestern part of the settlement that might be responsible for the growing number of oozes that have shown up in Blingdenstone recently.
Trey perks up at hearing that.
There's also Dorbo wants you to go to where the Gold Whisker clan is. They are a group of were-rats that live down here, and he basically wants them out of the Warrens to free up more living space for the hardworking Svirfneblin. And if possible, he wants to recover the house center. Senny, however, seems to be a little bit more understanding of this, and she says that the were-rats are descendants of Blingdenstone citizens just like they are, and they deserve to stay and rejoin the community. And Dorbo comes back with they're too territorial. Every attempt we've made to talk to them has just ended in violence. And Senny asks if you guys might be interested in being the go-betweens. Maybe an outsider would be able to kind of be a mediator, neutral third party kind of deal, to maybe like figure out some sort of more peaceful solution to this kind of like two races living in the same area thing.
We might be able to help with that.
I think that makes good sense.
Yeah, my group would be interested in that. Or group of NPCs.
And let's face
Fidriel's
it, if
just
y'all are
following
under some
along.
pressure and you needed extra troops, some were-rats probably come in handy. You did make much better friends than enemies if you could manage it.
Okay. So you have basically two choices for what you do. You can do Operation Ooze There, or Operation Exterminate?
Where's that?
Ooze There is trying to find out why there are so many oozes. And Exterminate, question mark, is going to talk to the were-rats.
Thidriel's just kind of following along with the group. He's not in any position to be making decisions.
Well, if we're making a group decision, and I like the where we're at opportunity a lot better than Ooz's.
Hopefully no
What is
rat
our
them out.
backup plan if democracy fails? Or
Split the
diplomacy, I
party.
should say.
I think they told us what our option is if diplomacy fails.
I mean, that's really what it is. Is they
Uh-oh.
So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to go shopping? Do you want to set out right away on one of these things? Do you want to explore more of the city? How
Yeah, like I said, well, Thidriel wants to, like I said, get some more stuff for his brewing supplies, right?
I reckon we could all use a little downtime, maybe a night off anyway. It's been a long haul to get here. I think we could all do with a rest in somewhat more friendly territory, if that's something we could do.
Okay. Well, in Inner Blingdenstone, which is the area you're in right now, there are some residential caves there. One or two of them are empty. That would be like 12B, 12C, 12D, that way. If you want to take a spot in 12D, you would have easy access to 16, which is the Foaming Mug Alehouse.
Sold.
That is, however, the farthest away from the Trader's Grotto. Not that that really matters. Movement is unrestricted within the city, because this is all just going to be social stuff until it's not, right? So heading over to just, pick a house. Let's say I'm going to put Thidriel. This is your house now, this cave right here that you can see on the map.
Okay.
For the length of your stay in Blingdenstone, that will be home. And it has some other levels, so you can just pile your tokens in there if you're taking a rest or whatever. And so you get there. They have left out kind of like a continental breakfast type thing for you. Just some bread and meats and cheeses and such. They don't have much here, so it's not fancy, but they thought about you when they let you move in.
Now,
And,
did they need a decision about which job we were going to do for them, or can we
No. They
tell
were just
them we'd
telling
like to
you.
retire and discuss it?
Yeah, they basically said, like, we can't help you because we have our own problems. If you want to help with
that's
those
understood.
problems, these are what they are. And there's some other stuff going on, too. Those are just the two things that they thought outsiders specifically might be better equipped to handle. So essentially the day is yours. If you choose to do one of those tasks, just go back to them after you're done and let them know. So this section of the game, so we had the traveling section and we had the dungeon crawl section. This section of the game is one of the, like, kind of a reputation building section. Does that make sense? Like, you have to get the city on your side to be able to get what you need.
Yep. Are we going to divide that gold up, that the coins that are in the party inventory up, or are we just going to use them as we need them?
I have the gold encumbrance turned off, so you can divide them up and it won't count towards your encumbrance to carry coins.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you
Why
want
I
me to
was
do that?
asking the party.
Yeah, I'm fine with dividing it up between us.
Okay.
Yep.
5 people. Tori down.
And we might as well sell all that stuff that's in there. Like none of us are gonna take any of that stuff really, right? Dom, take your 2 gold bracelets. Like you might as well. That it makes no difference if you take them, right? I don't think
Okay.
anybody's gonna
They're worth
object
50
to
gold
it.
each.
Yeah, I still don't think anybody's gonna object to it.
Well, that's yeah. Everybody would be losing 20 gold if he took the. It's not a big deal. Like you have a couple hundred
Yeah.
gold each at this point. So.
Exactly.
But that's up to you guys. If anybody is a penny pincher and wants to have Dom pay for his share, that's fine too.
Does
Okay.
anyone want the additional 20 gold?
No.
I don't care if you take those.
Cool.
So yeah, so I'm definitely looking for brewer supplies.
Okay.
And
You've already been drinking, haven't you?
actually, I don't drink in real life, but yeah, so brewer supplies, some ingredients, things like that, stuff that will last me for a long time. I pretty much would be willing to spend like all my money on that.
Okay. Just give me a second because I have to pull the torches and the rations out because those, or no, just the rations I need to pull. So I'm gonna throw those in. Who's carrying the bag of holding? Like who's physically carrying it?
I don't have a bag of holding.
Does anyone have that item? Did
I
it
don't
get
think
messed
so.
up
I
when
do not
I?
have it.
I think you got messed up when you were moving stuff around, so I don't seem to have it.
Okay, so I have the item here, but who is physically carrying the bag of holding amongst you?
I don't know. Roll for it?
Give it to Ron.
I don't want it. Halavin, do you want it?
I'll take it if nobody minds.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, so you have a bag of holding. Then I can put. Holding all the rations. And then I can sell everything else. We're not keeping the filter of love or the box of soap or the mess kits or anything.
Nope.
Alright.
Maybe keep a bar of soap.
Give that one to Ron.
We could probably all use a good scrubbing.
I'm sure our room has that accommodates.
Okay. 900 more gold distributed across the party.
Woot.
And the filter of love doesn't have a sell price. So you will have to haggle if you want to get rid of that.
Okay.
And I will just give that to Halavin for now.
Should have been a part.
Okay, my party sheet is empty. I am a happy DM. So, you can go to the Foaming Mug. It is a tap house. It was originally built as an inn, but in all of the raiding and fighting and everything, they never really put the rooms back together all the way. So there are rooms that exist, but the only ones that they put any effort into are deep gnome-sized rooms. So the medium-sized rooms that were available are not available anymore, which is why you guys got this cave instead.
And just kind of an atmosphere question here as we've been guided through this place, looking at the civilian population, are they carrying weapons at all, or do they appear to feel secure and not like all hell's going to break loose at any second?
There are plenty of areas that you've walked through where there are guards that are fully armed and armored. The standard civilians, you don't see anyone down here that doesn't have a knife in their belt or something like that. I mean, like I said, they've had oozes kind of creeping into their tunnels. So everybody has like maybe an easily portable weapon, but it's also not like they're, slinking around with a giant great shield or anything either. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like I said, this is a city on edge. Not unwelcoming, but just there's a lot of stuff going on for them right now.
Right, so there's tension in the air and we know it.
Yeah. So if you decide to head over to the inn,
we should not go unarmed.
Well, I mean, I'm going to assume that your characters are not unarmed unless you're specifically saying, like, this next part. The Foaming Mug, in addition to being an inn and a traveling house, does have 2 separate hot springs which can be used for bathing and relaxation. So if you were to take advantage of that, it would just kind of remove some of your traveler's fatigue and all that kind of thing, but you would not be wearing your armor while you're in there,
Sure. Yeah. Now, what I was thinking was we could drop off stuff at our house, at least go out in regular clothes. I don't think anybody wants to go out in full armor and regalia. I certainly don't want to be carrying my polearm around on a night off. Maybe a short sword or something like that. But...
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Like, you wouldn't necessarily be walking around with a pike, but a short sword wouldn't be out of the ordinary. I know Shadira's never letting go of her double-bladed again after losing it, but
that goes with me everywhere.
Yeah, and Trey's trying to take books into the bath.
Yes.
I love how there was an implied "and" at the end of that. But yeah, so you guys can go around lightly armed and armored. That's fine. Like I said, there are guards pretty much everywhere here. You could easily call them and then run away to get your stuff back. Depending on what area you're in, you wouldn't want to go too far north or northwest or southwest. Basically, stay in Inner Blingdenstone and you're fine.
Well, I'm going to go wandering the markets, seeing what's there. Any magical items?
At the bar?
No, the markets.
Oh, the markets. Okay, the markets are...
I'm going to follow Shadira to the market.
Okay, the markets are in Area 7 on the map. I told you about the weird stone mushrooms and stuff.
Yep.
And... yeah, so it's a central market. Let me see if I have any like story entries for shops that are in here. Okay, so the only specialty store in here is going to be like an alchemist slash ore specialist. The rest of it, you'd be able to find any kind of trading thing that you could get just out of the SRD items list, basically.
Okay. Oh, what's the alchemist got?
The alchemist has... I apologize. I read through this and I prepped it, and then I completely forgot to load the module with the stores.
I hate when that happens. I need to AFK just 1 minute. I got my wife calling me. Hold on.
Okay. Alright, so I'm pulling this store, quote unquote, from a completely different book, so disregard what it says about staff and all that kind of thing. I will give you the actual NPC who runs this place. And also the whole, like, description of the place is not what I'm using. I just am using the item list from this at the bottom, okay?
Yep, that's fine.
So there you go, that's the item list that they sell and their prices.
Nice.
The shop is still called Many Wonders. Actually, it's called, oh man, trying to get between story chapters here. One moment. It is called Kazook's Many Wonders.
What is an alchemy jug?
The alchemy jug. Oh, it's not in there. The alchemy jug is basically a never-ending jug, and I need to find the stats on it real quick.
Alright, that's all I need to know. I'm buying that as my flask.
So the way that it works is you designate what it is, like I think once per day, and it will never run out of that thing for that day.
Oh, it has beer in it.
Okay.
100%. So
It has various fluids which can come out of it, and it puts out a certain amount of those per day.
Yeah, it's like something d something amount of that per day.
oh yeah,
I'm back.
that's fine. I'm definitely purchasing that for myself.
Okay. Let me find the item.
Could you say it's health potion inside of there?
No.
No, it can only be a mundane substance, but beer would be fine. But you can't say it's like, you know, potion
It's
of
got
greater restoration
beer.
or anything like that.
Oh no, it's gonna. I'm
It's got
essentially
water.
gonna. Oh sorry, go
It's
ahead.
got water. It's got water. It's got beer. It's got oil. It's got vinegar. They're all mundane liquids.
Yeah, so essentially every morning you're gonna see me sit there and pull out my father's recipe and read the ingredients to this thing, and that's the beer that I'm gonna drink out of it.
Well, no, it doesn't quite work.
Well,
that
that's
way.
what I'm. That's what I'm like. That's what my character thinks is happening.
Yep, that's fair enough.
Whenever I say things like that, people always correct me. I'm just like, no, that's what my character thinks is happening. I understand it's not actually happening. This is what my character thinks.
Well, I'm going to be taking the bag of holding. That's for sure. That's 250 gold. I'm quite happy to spend.
Okay. Bag of holding is definitely in that thing that you have access to.
Yep. So, um, and it's not showing. It does help if I spell it right.
Yeah, the alchemy jug isn't in the items list for me to pull.
And George bag of holding, so you're gonna have to give those to us, sir. Where it says mithril armor, what does it actually mean, please? think you thought. I'll be back in a minute.
Do you just want me to create that item for myself? Is everybody gone?
I'm here.
Yep, we're here.
I
Okay, I'm back.
Did Airlon take off?
I'm here. I'm working on
Oh,
this alchemy jug.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Let's see. Maximum amount of a given liquid. Alright, there we go. Vidriel.
Thank you.
So roll 2d10 per day to see how many gallons it has of that liquid. And it can produce acid, ale, honey, mayonnaise, oil, poison, vinegar, fresh or salt water, and wine.
Okay. Are we able to say that beer is just a thing that could be made there, or no?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean
that's
it's no.
what I
Yeah,
was-
just substitute ale for beer. I don't care that much.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't hear. I didn't
Yeah.
hear ale. I just heard the wine. Okay. Cool.
How do I get that Kazook's menu open again?
Got it.
Thank you.
Now, the mithril armor it's got there, what exactly is it?
$17 liters to start.
Is it 17 liters or 17 gallons?
Or 17 gallons.
It's 17 gallons, yeah, and it holds. It looks like it would
okay.
hold about a gallon. You can pour it at a rate of 2 gallons per minute. It will only produce 17 gallons today of whatever you tell it to produce. At a maximum.
Okay. And I just like whoever finds me after I bought this thing, I'm literally just sitting on the street drinking.
Okay, mithril.
Okay, pretty much everything in here is too rich for my blood.
So it can be any type of metal armor, so chain, scale, plate, ring, splint, anything like that. If the armor normally imposes disadvantage on dex checks or has a strength requirement, the mithril version does not.
Ooh.
So, like, if you wanted a breastplate, it's medium armor. It would normally have a max 2 for dex modifier. If it's a mithril breastplate, it does not have that stealth penalty, basically, because it's so light.
Okay, so that's 250 gold on top of the normal cost, or 250 gold full stop?
On top of the normal cost of the armor. So if you want to set a full mithril plate, it's going to be the price of full plate plus 250.
Yeah. I'm wearing right now. What am I? Okay.
Yeah, I'll do a mithril chainmail.
A mithril chainmail?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that'll be
Can I,
$325.
yeah, can I sell him the chain that I'm wearing and help offset that? Or
Yeah, for sure. So it'll just be $250.
easy peasy.
And then go ahead and just grab chainmail out of the armor section of the items, and go into your armor section on your main tab, and remove the disadvantage thing and the strength thing. Or, well, the strength thing doesn't matter. You're strong enough.
Okay, this is something which different DMs say differently. If you take the heavy armor, do you get a dex bonus to it? If it's made out of mithril. Some DMs say yes, some DMs say no.
It's just two different ways of looking at the stats. I could say you have the disadvantage, and then you just take an advancement to make that null, but I would prefer to remove the disadvantage instead of having a plus and a minus. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is normally heavy armor doesn't give you a dex bonus at all for your armor class. But it's saying that it's one category lighter, which means it's medium armor, which does give a dex bonus. I'm just trying to work out whether you get the dex bonus or you don't get the dex bonus.
Oh, no, you're right. It's one thing less. So your dex bonus would be max 2 for the chainmail because it's
Right.
heavy armor. But that's better than nothing.
Yeah. Oh, definitely better than nothing. So that'd
Yeah,
be
I don't
320.
I don't have a dex bonus. I just don't want the disadvantage on stealth if we should need to get stealthy.
Cool. So I went ahead and did your armor stat for you, Halavan. I changed your dex to max 2 and took away stealth disadvantage. So all you should have to do is, just chainmail mithril and then take away the money, and then you're good.
Gotcha.
Anybody else?
Okay. I'm just working it out now what I can afford. Chainmail is 75, so that's 375. And Gale is worth what?
That Keotome's ointment, does anybody want to hear what that does?
Yes.
It's a glass jar. It contains 1d4 plus 1 doses of a thick mixture that smells faintly of aloe. Weighs half a pound. As an action, 1 dose of the ointment can be swallowed or applied to the skin. The creature that does so regains 2d8 plus 2 hit points, ceases to be poisoned, and is cured of any disease.
I can see that being useful, but I don't have enough to buy it myself. Now,
I was just, presenting options because that superior healing potion is hella expensive.
yeah, it is.
I'm actually
Should you-
interested in a drift globe.
You want a drift globe?
Yeah, for those of us who don't see down here.
What does that do?
It's a small
it's
sphere
a-
of thick glass. If you are within 60 feet of it, you can speak its command word and cause it to emanate the light or daylight spells. But daylight is once per day. And you can speak another command word as an action to make the illuminated globe rise into the air, float no more than 5 feet off the ground. And it follows you at a range of 60 feet. So basically,
It's brandy.
yeah. Now it's not a crazy. It's only an uncommon. So like, if a monster touches it or shoots it or something, it does just kind of fall to the ground and become inactive. But yeah,
That's
it
fine.
definitely would give you some light to see by in just about any situation.
To read by, maybe? Yeah, no, I would like one of those, please.
I'm happy to chip in for it. Seeing as
Should
how
you
I'm one of the
find
ones that use
Sadriel?
light.
If you want to chip in for something, let me buy that, and we'll split that that ointment. I would say.
As I see her, Shadir walk up towards me, I like do that drunken like hand out my alchemy jug for her to take a sip of the ale, the beer, whatever it is.
She takes it quite happily and downs it. Sadriel, my friend, I have a huge favour asking you.
Yeah. He's definitely feeling a lot more relaxed. I would say he probably drank like at least 2 gallons of this thing. He told me that I don't get alcohol poisoning. So I'm just chugging back. Yeah. What you need?
Would I be able to borrow 25 gold of you?
I just like reach into my hand and I probably grab like 33 gold and just flick it towards him.
Catching it. Thank you. Okay.
I took that out of my gold.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be
And Trey, you take off 250 for that.
Yep, just dragged in my inventory doing it now.
Okay. I'm selling my scale mail to them and getting myself some mithril chain.
Mithril chainmail
Yep.
or a chain shirt.
Chain mail.
Okay.
That should give me a dex of a AC of 18 now, since I get the dex bonus to it, which is helpful. Okay. Scale is gone. And I have chainmail.
Didn't I still have some drow poison vials? Because I never used those.
I saw them on somebody else's sheet. Where'd they go?
I think I had 1 or 2.
Yeah,
I still
yeah.
had 2. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
Whatever the total would that the original amount we got, that's what I had because I didn't use any of them.
I don't know if we ought to be showing them that here though.
Can you give me a suit of mithril chainmail, please, Mr. DM?
The stats aren't different. Just put chainmail on your thing and then write mithril after it and make sure the stats are the right on the armored page.
Right. Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Yep.
Does it still weigh the same, 55? I thought it weighed less.
It weighs... shit. I am not getting a weight here. Okay, I have shared the flask of drow poison. Just take a few.
Thank you. Okay.
Those of you that had some. Honor system here. You don't have 50 of them.
No, I gave myself 3.
How much does a normal chain shirt weigh? You said 55? Or
Yes.
chain mail, rather. It weighs 30.
30. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and you can do the same, Halvin.
Okay. I'm feeling much, much better now.
Any other expenditures here? Or
I'm
in the
broke,
regular
so no.
regular stores as well.
At the moment in time, I'm broke, so no, but I will be... See if I can pick up some work as an entertainer at the tavern.
So Shade would not have gone with the rest of the group.
Okay.
He probably would have gone tomorrow. So if he's getting stuff like armor, should I just pick it up now while the rest of the group's there and then
Yeah, I would say so. Just yeah, because we can
make life easier?
You're gonna be here for a few days at least, right? So
Yeah, out of character.
I'm less concerned with the order of how this goes than I am with just all of us being satisfied with where we're at when we get to the next story beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out of character, I am going to buy 2 just regular healing potions. Are they still just 50 gold?
There are no regular healing potions in this store.
Oh no, I don't mean in this store. I'm not in this. I just meant like at some point I'm gonna wander through the market drunkenly and then I try to purchase myself a couple. Just
So
regular
the
healing
only
potions.
place that sells regular healing potions is the Ruby in the Rough, the temple,
Oh, okay.
and they're going to be out of them currently because like unrest in the tunnels.
Okay.
So
Well, then
Many
I am
Wonders
not purchasing anything else.
has 2 of these superior healing potions, just because the temple couldn't afford that shit.
That's fine.
Like I said, there will be story beats. You can improve your standing in Blingden Stone, and then you'll have access to things like that. But as of right now, there are no healing potions available.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So for the mithril armor, that's just chainmail that is then mithril, correct?
Correct. So you're going to take the chainmail item.
And if we don't have heavy armor proficiency, is that still fine?
It counts as medium armor if it's mithril.
Okay, that'll work then.
And if it was medium, it would count as light.
Cool.
Now, I wonder how much it costs to move enchantments from one item to another.
And that was
Sorry.
no stealth disadvantage, right?
No stealth disadvantage. The dex goes from nothing to max 2, and the weight goes from 55 to, what did I say, 30?
30.
30, yeah.
All right, cool.
All right. Anything else you guys wanted to look for specifically? The rest of the, like I said, it basically, you're wandering around an open air market. You're all there at the same time except for Shade. Shade, what are you doing today that you're not with them?
So I would first clean up real quickly and then dress in, fine clothing and pay my respects to the deity here.
Okay. That would be area
8,
8.
I think. And just NPCs wise, I'd say Topsy Turvy would be with me because they're gnomes, obviously.
Okay.
And Pepito would probably just be with the rest of the group doing whatever.
Okay. So this is all taking place while you guys are shopping. Shade, you enter the temple, and you are approached by a fairly nervous-looking, very young, deep gnome, who introduces himself as Glyphic Shroomlight. Hold on. Crap, that was supposed to be a whisper. Only by an enchanter, Shadira.
Okay.
So, yeah. There is a section of the rough that kind of goes down. It's like a side passage that leads down. And there's a little kind of placard over to the side that says catacombs. And that is pretty much it. If you would like to do a, let's say, religion check for me, then you could, through talking to this guy and talking to your companions, learn a little bit more about this religion in general. Yeah, so you've got the basics of it from your conversation today.
All right, cool. And then, I just, in talking to him, see if I can grant permission just to pray at the temple, and possibly, see if they have like a collection or something like that, just to put some gold into the collection.
They will take any money you're willing to give them. They are broke AF. So
right,
yeah, absolutely. And then in terms of like, for in regards to your generous donation, the temple is open to you anytime. They don't really have doors on it to begin with, but whatever they can do. If you need a couple candles, they've got those. That kind of deal.
Cool. How about 47 gold?
Okay. He has moved almost to tears. This is almost enough for 2 healing potions, which is really going to go far. since he can't make them himself.
Cool. All right, and then I just spend time in prayer and contemplation.
Okay. So I'm gonna say this probably all takes all told maybe 4 hours or so. So it's getting towards evening time.
See if I can get a gig in the tavern.
Okay. There is only really the one tavern in Inner Blingdenstone. There might be more in other areas, but you haven't seen those. There is also an area for the arts, which is called the Singing Stones, that you would have been made aware of in your queries, if you would like to head over there and see what's going on.
Yeah, I'll have a look to see what's going on over there.
Okay, so this is Area 15 on the map. It's an elevated cavern near one of the main residential areas. It holds a variety of rocks and crystals in the middle of a bowl-shaped floor. Srifneblin minstrels skilled in the art of stone singing can alter the pitch of the vibrations emitted by the individual stones, creating an effect similar to an assemblage of harp-playing bards. As you first walk into the room, there's a deep gnome playing the crystals for an appreciative audience of deep gnome children. So this is kind of like art education and daycare rolled into one, you know?
Yep.
But it's pretty
You know
cool.
what?
I don't know if you've ever done any like caving where they have like the tuned crystals or anything like that, but it's pretty impressive, man.
Oh yeah. I gather it is.
And this is also kind of how your thing works, right? With the singing blades and whatnot?
Yeah, to a degree, yes, it does.
Like harmonics and resonance?
Well, yes, that's as well as a blade singer, but I'm not a blade singer yet. Well,
Ah, right.
Anymore. But heading back to the tavern to see if I can get a gig there, doing some performance, hopefully earn a little bit more gold.
Okay, I'm
broke.
sorry, I wasn't quite done. For the Singing Stones, while you're there, how long do you want to stay there and listen to the song she's playing? Because if you want to spend an hour, roll a performance check, and you can try to like learn some of the like rhythms and songs and stuff that seem to be enjoyable to the gnomes, and that might get you a better payout.
I was actually planning on spending a couple of hours there to actually relax, because this is my sort of place to be relaxing in. I don't drink that much.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll sit here for a couple of hours.
All right.
Quite happily.
So roll performance +2.
Yay. Total of 5.
You were so swept up in the music, you just weren't even paying attention to it. It was just like kind of relaxing and vegging and, you know, trance state almost.
That's better.
All right. The second hour that you were there, you kind of came to and started actually paying attention, and you were able to pick up, let's say, you'll get a +2 on a performance roll if you're performing in Blingdenstone.
Okay. Heading out of the tavern, see if I can earn some gold. Spend a couple of hours there
Okay.
performing.
Um, let's see. Shade, you didn't mention that, but yes, absolutely. He will take you up on any of that kind of thing. He can't offer to pay you for it, but, you know, it might be something like at the end of the day if you have any spell slots left kind of deal.
Yep, totally.
As far as the foaming mug goes, there is a caravan in there. There is a rich merchant from somewhere else in there, and then just the regular, you know, gnome population that would be in a place like this. Now, it's not. I wouldn't say it's an upscale place per se because it's had some problems, but it's not crappy either, right? So while you're in there, Tappy Foamstrap, the bored deep gnome who runs the inn, is going to be just kind of peppering you with questions. She obviously is going to say, yeah, absolutely, you can perform here. our going rate is 15 gold an hour, but I guarantee you, with you being the most exciting thing to happen here in months, people are going to be giving you free drinks all night and that kind of deal too.
Okay, cool. Something which I wanted to check because my performance is mainly acrobatics. Do you want an acrobatics roll or a performance roll, or do you want one of each?
It's going to be. I'll do it as a mini skill challenge. So roll acrobatics. If you pass a DC 15 acrobatics, you'll get advantage on your performance roll. And then roll that one set of those per hour that you're performing.
Okay. Acrobatics. Oh, yay.
Okay, so regular performance then, +2. Okay.
Okay. That actually went well. I'll perform for 3 hours.
Okay. Advantage at +2 for performance. Is anyone in the bar with them, watching the performance or just talking to people?
No, I'm typing out what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
No bonuses there, so just +2 for the performance. So, the performances was well good. The acrobatics wasn't super to start with, but it went okay.
Yeah, you warmed up. You haven't really been doing any kind of flippy stuff as you've been just hustling through caves for the past few weeks. But you still get your 45 gold.
What I needed.
Actually, you get 50. You got a bonus for that first one because it was a natural 20.
Thank you. And as I said, I don't drink huge amounts, but if there's food offered, I'll take that as well.
There is. So it's now nighttime. Did anybody do anything in the evening other than that? You said Thidriel, I think, said they were typing something?
Yeah, I'll do that in just a sec.
Yeah, I was just kind of waiting for a chance. I was going to ask if there's an area where crafters/artisans ply their trade. I'm looking to go someplace and maybe find a tinker's workbench to use and kind of work on my gear and get things back in good working order after the long road.
I'm looking, man. I'm looking.
Sure.
Yeah, so I struggle to stand as using Trey's shoulder as leverage to stand up. I stagger back to our cave to pass out. As I stumble back, offering my jug to people as I pass, even to children, as I can't tell the difference between them in my current state. I don't make it all the way back home before the ale makes me too tired to keep walking, and I pass out on the floor close to the cave. So
okay. Trey, did you drag him the rest of the way into the cave?
Yeah, as Trey's pretty drunk because this is the first time he's had beer. But he's going to drag Thidriel in and get him safe, and then he's going to take off his armor, flip to a page in his book, take out a dagger, and start working on his leather armor.
Okay.
Muttering, "It didn't work."
Okay. As far as a craft place, when you ask about crafters, the Trader's Grotto has some artisans, but this is mostly just sales. One of the people that you ask about, crafters in Blingdenstone, like this really old guy who seems like he might have like sort of dementia, says that you should go talk to where did it go? To Vazook. He's a leather worker of some renown.
Okay.
And he is at area 12A. So this is a house. It's not really like a cave so much. It's like an actual house built out of the stone in the surrounding area, kind of built into the wall there. And there is a door. It's a little bit like, it looks pretty run down, like the curtains are kind of torn. There's no lights on inside. What do you want to do?
Well, knock on the door, of course.
Okay. The door, as you knock on it, just kind of creaks open a little bit. Like it wasn't shut all the way.
Just kind of push it open a little bit and announce myself and that I'm looking for Fazook.
Okay.
Hello? Anyone home? Hello?
Nothing happens if you're standing outside.
Okay, I'll tenuously step inside.
Okay.
Tenuously, carefully, whatever.
As soon as you enter the house, things start to rattle. It's clearly like an abandoned house. Like you can see, like the furniture is like dusty and broken. There's like knickknacks and like some crafting like workbenches, like a very nice set of like leatherworking tools and stuff off to one side in a very well kept space. Everything starts to kind of rattle and like kind of like shift in your direction a little bit, and you hear this kind of disembodied voice screaming, "Mine! My stuff, not yours! Get out! Mine!" As like smaller items start like flinging in your direction.
Okay, I will go ahead and just back out. Not trying to cause any trouble, I'm just
Okay.
looking for a workbench.
So as you step outside, there's a couple of like gnome citizens that are passing, and they're like, "Did you go in there?" Like kind of laughing.
Yeah, just looking for Fazook. I thought he might be in there.
Dude, Vazook died like 10 years ago. And he, like, somebody tried to move into his house afterwards. Like, they bought the house and tried to move in. And he, like, basically woke up as a poltergeist. And he flips out. Like, who told you to go in there, man? That's crazy. The place is
Yeah, who was
super
that?
haunted. It's like some demented old man in the marketplace.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Okay, so yeah, the crazy guy in the marketplace is truly crazy.
So there was, in fact, a very nice workbench in there. You get the impression that if you wanted to be able to use it or anything, you would probably have to, step that up to an actual encounter.
If I had charisma, I might try just talking to him, but
the old priest tried to like talk to him or like help him move on or whatever, and he just wasn't having it.
yeah, don't want to move on. Just want to borrow your bench for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I got my own tools. Don't even need your tools.
Yeah. So I would like to point out that the only place that you have access to right now is Inner Blingden Stone. It's very likely that there could be crafting things in the other areas that you haven't explored yet, but those are the more dangerous areas. So I don't want to shut you down, but like there's nothing here.
No,
right
I
now.
can sit and work on stuff myself. I just thought ultimately what I wanted to do was find an area where there were a bunch of people doing stuff, tend to my stuff, and kind of keep an ear out and see what I was hearing. But that's not going to work.
You could do that. You could do that in a booth at the bar if you don't mind it being a little bit loud. Like they have private tables.
Yeah, I can give that a shot then.
Okay.
You don't mind me working on my pole arm in the middle of a bar.
I mean, probably not, man. Like everybody here seems very familiar with what few weapons they carry, so I don't think they would have any problems with you like breaking down and cleaning a weapon as long as you're not being, weird about it.
Just in my head, I was thinking I'd do this, then go back, change, and then go to the bar, get some dinner, do that kind of stuff. But that plan has now changed.
Yeah, so you could go back, grab your tools, grab your pole arm, take the armor off, head over to the bar, and just kind of like grab one of the private tables, and as long as you're willing to answer a few questions from the bartender.
Yeah, I do have the new armor. I guess it doesn't need to be worked on.
Yep. Well, the mithril shirt, I mean, you just bought it, right? So you probably do need to, tailor it a little bit to yourself. I mean, it fits in a kind of off-the-rack kind of way, but for armor, you'd probably want it to be a little bit better than that, so you could work on that too. So heading into the bar.
It's a bit tight across the chest.
So rumors have spread rather quickly after that first hour that Shadira was performing, and the place starts to kind of fill up. Now, you asked for a private table. She gave it to you, no questions. Like that, here's the biggest table we have. It's for it's for big folk like yourself. Should be plenty of room. Just I don't mind if you work on your weapons and clean them and stuff. Just don't go swinging them around in here.
Sure.
And anybody who wants to hang out at the bar, which I guess Shadira, you'd get some of this. Halavin, not Trey, not Thidriel. Shade, did you ever make your way to the bar for dinner or anything?
After a while, yes.
Okay. So I'll have the three of you roll perception checks.
The bar is 12D, right?
The what now?
The bar is 12D.
Oh, 12D. It's, yes. No, it's 16.
Oh.
Perception.
Yeah, Thidriel and Trey already passed out in your room. You're on stage. The other. Okay, so Shadira, your perception. I mean, that's a pretty good roll for being on stage, actually performing. You'll overhear some of this, but only bits and pieces. Shade and Halavin, you had far better checks there, so you're going to hear all of this in full, and I have a bunch of just kind of info dump for you here that I'm going to, I think, put into a note instead, so it's referenceable. Okay, so you guys can see in the notes page the foaming mug gossip there. So Blingdenstone's ghost problem is getting worse, and there are even spirits haunting the catacombs, which is like where they should be at rest, right? There was a crazy Swift Emblem back in the first days of Reclamation who disappeared. Some of the scouts claimed to have seen him skulking around the unrecovered areas of the settlement. The Stoneheart Enclave is closing in on a solution to the threat of Ogremock's Bane, and the gnomes call a large, unclaimed area in the northeast of the settlement Rockblight, as earth elementals go mad whenever they go near it. People are divided as to what to do about the were-rats living in the southwest caverns. Some want them out, while others propose an alliance of mutual defense. A merchant from Gracklestew says there's an influx of surface world coins there, in Gracklestew, but nobody knows where they come from. And a Swiftneblin caravan returning from White Shell Mines encountered a parade of dancing Myconids. Through their report spores, the Myconids told the gnomes about a wedding celebration, which is strange considering that Myconids don't celebrate or have weddings.
Oh, and Stool missed it.
All right. So that's pretty much all you're gonna get for today. Everybody feeling pretty good about your day so far? Shadira got some
Yep.
jingle in her pocket. Y'all got some some juicy goss.
Oh yeah, I mean, if Trey's still awake after he dragged me to the room, maybe about I'd say like an hour after I'm in there passed out, he definitely sees me like wake up in the middle of the sleep, like scream out for dad, and then just pass right back out again.
Trey.
Don't even flinch. Just keep working on my armor.
Yeah, your background makes it pretty likely that random screams in the middle of the night are not something unusual to you.
Didn't even notice.
So as the rest of you finish up at the bar, heading back toward your cave for the night, you walk in and you see Trey. He's got a very sharp, like fine point dagger, and his leather armor is like laid out all over his area. He's got a book open and he keeps like flipping back and forth between the book, and he seems to be like cutting into his armor plate. Questions, comments, concerns?
Shadira has no idea about armor and so forth, so she's not going to comment.
I kind of do when I'm watching. I walk in and see this, and it sounds to me like he's tracing something out of the book onto his armor.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Does it look like arcane symbols or something like that?
Trey, what does it look like?
You might recognize it as some kind of arcane symbol, but you don't truly recognize it. The longer you stare at it, you actually start to feel nauseous.
Like it looks like it might have been arcane runes of some sort at one point, but they're kind of like shifty, and you get this kind of like oily, creepy sensation from them, and you can't really look at them because they're like they don't make any sense to you. They're not in any kind of arcane form that you've ever heard of.
Which would be pretty much any arcane form for me, but okay, well, I'll leave him to what he's doing. He's trusted he knows best for his armor.
Okay.
I'd see about check with him and see if he wants a like a shield of faith or something like that, or yeah, just some sort of extra protection in case it blows up in his face.
He is just deadpan stare, doesn't even recognize that you're there, just keeps working.
And he's chanting in a language that none of you recognize. It sounds a little bit like Abyssal, but it's not. And again, the words just kind of like seem to grate on your ears. You can't understand them, but you know it ain't good.
Oh, we don't know the language? Darn.
I'm house ruling that he has a patron language in script, so. Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit, Trey, so you know what I'm going for here.
Yes, sir.
So if you guys want a more visual imagination of what did you say? It kind of looks like weird, creepy crop circles that you're like tracing into your armor.
Yeah, it's just concentric, but doesn't make sense in any real way. It keeps overlapping,
Non-Euclidean geometry.
circling back. Exactly.
His armor is gonna look like a round Escher painting.
Very descriptive, actually.
All right. So you guys go ahead and drift off for the night, and we are gonna take our break there. If you guys want to be back at, say, 1/2 past, that's like 8 minutes. Is that long enough? If not, we'll take more time.
Oh man, that's fine.
All right.
If we can make it
Fine
like
by
next
me.
5, I need to put some.
Okay. We are back, and we are in Blingdenstone. It is a new day. We have gone to the tavern for breakfast, and we are plotting our course.
And my head is hurting.
It is a pretty wicked hangover. This is the first time you've been, like, drunk in a while.
Yeah. I'm definitely sluggish getting out of bed.
Okay.
Pass me a ration, someone. Someone get me something to eat.
Okay. Beef jerky and hardtack coming up.
Oh, I was trying to role play with the characters.
Finding the smelliest cheese I can amongst the rations and tossing that to him.
Oh, I don't think he cares about the smell of stuff. He just, whatever he tossed towards him, I kind of give you a nod. I just shove it in my mouth. I kind of lay back down on the bed for a moment, just on my back, just kind of staring up at the top of the cave.
So are we eating rations in the house, or are we going to the tavern?
Tavern.
Right. Okay.
Out of character, guys. I was trying to incite role playing with everybody.
I know. We're gonna do that at the tavern.
Any other tavern, getting some bread, cheese, some ale, light beer, whatever they drink around here every morning.
Trey walks
Sorry.
over to Fidriel and kind of jerks him up by the shoulders.
Yeah, I'll definitely get out of bed.
Fireman.
I
carry him up.
just pull on a pair of pants. I don't put on a shirt or anything like that, and I just kind of grab my jug and my staff, and I lean on my staff heavily to kind of walk out sluggishly.
Just follow behind in case you trip.
Yeah.
That way you can point
Get a-
and laugh.
Yeah, get a good angle for laughing. Yeah.
Yes, everybody's ordered this stuff. I turn to the whoever's serving us. I'll say, just give me an ale. Turn to Trey, who's by my side, and say, because I know that he's never drank before. He kind of said that to me yesterday. Say, this is called Hair of the Dog.
Son, in your case, I think it's Hair of the Dire Wolf, but
Trey, trust me. If you know, you didn't seem to enjoy, but if you have enough, your problems may go away, at least for the night.
They're the same,
Vodka
same
Cadabra.
headache that every morning.
Sorry, I didn't hear what Trey said.
They definitely didn't go away. It's the same headache I have every morning.
Do you know what causes that headache?
Kind of looks away. Starting to notice he never makes eye contact with anyone. Just reaches for food and ignores the question.
I'll pass him my jug. Offer him a sip.
Nah, too early for me.
I'll just leave it sitting beside him, like on the table, because she's bringing me an ale anyway, so I already have something to drink. So I'm just gonna leave it sitting beside him. I'll say, "It's there if you want."
He just nods.
Shushar looks over at me. He definitely looks a little bit more disappointed in me than he ever had before. You know, seeing as how intoxicated I was, he saw me get dragged into the cave. He thought that I was a little bit better than that with my meditation and in my prayer. I don't think he knew that I was an inebriate like that. He doesn't say anything. You can just see that he looks a little bit disappointed in me.
Well, gents, as we sit here consuming our morning meal, I don't know if anyone's had a chance to give it much thought about the jobs that we've been offered. I'm certainly not trying to push us one direction or the other, but just my thinking on it and the way I feel about it, I think there's more to be gained for Blingden Stone in general and us as a group to look into this were rat issue and see if we can't negotiate a peaceable solution. Maybe give them a new set of allies that they can turn to. And if it goes poorly, we have the tools that we need, I think, to clear them out. Oozes, I'm not real familiar with. I haven't really encountered that many of them, and I don't know that I'd necessarily be as effective against them as I would a flesh and blood critter like a were rat. Just my thoughts on the matters. There does seem to be some consternation in the ranks here in Blingden Stone. There seems to be people who want to bring these rats into the fold, and others that just want to see them exterminated. So that actually, if we go to deal with that problem the way I see it, no matter how we solve it, we win.
Thidriel
Solve it
looks up.
peacefully if we can.
Thidriel looks up from his ale, and he says, "I know we arrived yesterday, but can't we just? I know we all want to get to our own places, but we just let's just take some time to just not do anything. Like we just escaped a prison. We've been traveling for weeks. Let's just get to know some people in the city. Maybe find out some more information instead of just running off to do something. I'm happy to just sit here and drink." And he takes a big gulp of his ale, and then he raises his glass, his mostly empty glass, to the bartender, and like kind of asking for another.
That's not the worst idea. I didn't know. Again, I wasn't trying to speak for the group, and sooner or later we are going to have to pick one of these things to do. Doesn't mean we have to do it now. Doesn't mean we have to do it tomorrow.
I'm happy to take a couple of days to relax, unwind, get ourselves sorted out, get the lay of the land. We've been going constantly for the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yep.
I just want to be able to sit down without worrying what's going to sneak up behind me and stab me in the back.
I nod my head in agreement, mouthful of beer.
I want to dance. Is that too much to ask, to dance?
All right. So everybody's on this train. Just take a few days and rest and relax.
I'm fine with it.
Couple of things.
Gather information.
Couple of things I'm going to do in those days, if I can, is one, I'm looking at the possibility of using the longsword which I've picked up to create a new form of twin-bladed weapon, potentially with paired longswords instead of paired falchions, maybe with a shorter handle between them. Would that be possible?
It's not possible. What you have is a magic weapon, so if you alter it in any way, it will cease to function.
Okay.
Like I said, if you... Theoretically, once you get back to the surface and find a major city with a high-level enchanter, you might be able to do something like that, but you're not going to be able to just do it on the fly.
Yep. I was just wondering whether there was anyone within this city that was skilled enough and so forth.
Not really. Most of the people here are like kind of living day to day.
I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna stand up at this point and just start walking around, trying to talk to Ren. Just trying to make friends. You know, this is the first time that I felt comfortable in forever,
Okay.
and I'm just walking around trying to make friends with random people.
Okay.
Just going up. I'm not really like stopping and having like major conversations. Just kind of like shaking their hands and like thank you for letting us stay here. You know, like telling them my name, offering them a sip of my jug, kind of thing.
Okay. I was going to do this every night following the last night, so there will be a thing to see like how the general population of Blingdenstone feels about you. Doing things like what Thidriel just mentioned would be a good way to increase your chances on those rolls. So I would say, you know, if you wanted to max that out, just try to put aside a little bit of your day to just talk to people in different areas and that kind of deal. You might also get some side quests from it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, well, I'll be wandering around, checking the markets and so forth.
Okay.
I'll go down.
Actually,
to where
Helavan,
that-
you already kind of found a mini quest there.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna take a moment to pull our cleric aside and whoever else was interested in it, because I don't know how many of y'all were listening last night while we were in the tavern here, but I personally experienced some of it, and apparently there's a ghost problem here in Blingdenstone, and I don't know much about ghosts, so turn to the cleric and say, you know, what do you think about? Is this something we might be able to look into also? Something that we might be able to help these people resolve? I can take you to a place where I think there's at least one active ghost.
All right. So do you want to describe this, like what happened to you, to Shade?
Thought Shade might ask, but okay. So
Could you
there's
describe it more other than
yes.
you got this feeling?
Well, while we were out shopping and whatnot, I asked about an area where there might be a place to apply my craft and work on an actual workbench. And this rather strange fella that I bumped into told me about a house where this leather worker lives and has a workbench and often allows people to work with him. I forget, was it Voxer?
Sorry, I'm doing 15 things here.
No, that's
The
okay.
person's
I'm
name
actually.
is
That's me playing.
Vazook.
Bazook. There we go. And so I went there, and it was kind of a ramshackle old house. And I rapped on the door, and it creaked open, and there didn't appear to be anyone in there. And as soon as I set foot inside, there was a loud voice screaming about how everything in the place was mine, 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 and objects started hurling themselves at me. Now, I wasn't in a mood to deal with that kind of thing at the time, so I stepped out. And some folks that were wandering by were laughing and having some good sport at my expense about why would I even set foot in there. Everyone knows that that house is haunted, and the owner died over 10 years ago, and it has become a poltergeist.
All right.
Now, and just to say it, nobody seemed overly concerned about a poltergeist living in that house. No one asked me or us to get rid of them. Apparently, they've tried a couple of times and it hasn't worked out. So if they're comfortable living with them there, I don't know that we should necessarily disrupt things, but
Well,
that, along with the mentions of other ghost problem in the town,
well,
seems like something else.
if the ghost is blocking access to a needed workshop, it might be best to get rid of it.
Now, I needed it. I don't know that anyone else did.
Well, look at this place. Everything's in need here. Anything that's in there could be used by this town for something.
So, and we do know that it's a poltergeist in there.
That's
Roll
what the folks
religion.
around said.
Okay, you recognize this as something either like a poltergeist, but probably more likely it's just a general specter, speaking from a, stat sheet point of view.
Right.
Because poltergeists are generally more powerful just in the nomenclature of D&D. Whisper that I just sent you. So that might go a step towards Halavan's question about whether it's necessary.
Yeah. So, it does sound like something undead, just because, yeah, and I can't. My character couldn't deal with anything that well, he couldn't leave anything that was undead behind without taking care of it.
I was going to say, Grave Domain Cleric wants to take care of this, right?
Yeah, yeah. So he'd probably go to the temple.
Okay.
Just to check and see if they know more information about what's actually there. If it is poltergeist, it's probably, I would guess that it isn't the crafter that was there before, because poltergeists normally come from a darker past, if I recall.
Well,
So maybe
given
if
the
they know-
timeline and what you guys understand from talking to the people, and then from what those guys said outside of Halavan, or when you stepped back outside, and they were like, "Oh, he died 10 years ago." 10 years ago was the Drow invasion.
So it may be a drow spirit or something inside of there.
So it could be, there are options for what the thing could be, but it was definitely probably a violent death. So it absolutely could go that way in terms of what you know, and that's from your religion check.
Yep.
Anything else
Yeah.
before we get? So you guys are gonna go to the temple.
I run up behind them, kind of interrupting their conversation. I put my arms around Shadira as I come running up, and I'm just like, hey, the bartender said you can dance here every single night, and we can all eat for just a gold.
Each.
Because Shadira,
a gold each.
A gold each. And
that sounds expensive.
Yeah. But Shadira wanted to dance, and I don't know anything about gold really because I'm a hermit. So, yeah, I was happy because she said she wanted to dance. I was just happy to get her dancing.
I was planning on dancing here. I was planning on dancing in a few locations in the city, but I will be dancing here overnight to bring in more patrons and earn some more gold.
Okay, and you will get your standard rate of pay, Shadira. You guys will have access to the baths, and then a gold for all days worth of food is not bad. Rations cost more than that, so that's and this is a city essentially under siege by craziness, right?
Okay.
So that's kind of where I was going with the prices being high. Like if you look over at the menu, meals normally cost 3 gold for 3 meals,
Yep.
And that, of course, includes your drinks, the drill.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is sorted out. You have a sort of an income flow, at least a little bit. You have meals covered. You're allowed to stay in that cave however long you want. There's not really rent here. Nobody was using it. You said you want to take a couple days to relax, but you were also Shade and Halavan are going to head to the temple.
Yeah.
Just to do like some research and such.
Well,
Okay.
when you guys go to confront this, whatever it is, let me know and I'll come with you. I'll help out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I'm not
Yeah.
real good at doing nothing. I like having something in front of me.
Yeah,
Okay.
like after I rejoined the party, I was gonna stick with them, so I'll be going with them too, I guess.
But
I don't know
tell
where
him,
they're going, but I'm just going because I didn't hear their conversation at all.
tell him where the crystals are, where the guy was playing. If you need me, that's where I'll be, or here at the tavern dancing.
Okay. So you will be in
And-
area 15. That's the Singing Stones.
And I'll definitely be making a mental note to stop by there because that sounds interesting as hell.
But yeah, I'm heading down to
Absolutely.
the 15 and listening to the music, and then asking the player if he minds if I dance while they play.
I'll be following Shadira.
Okay. Does anybody want to look through those notes and see if there's anything in there that they want to do any further investigations on?
Well, I'm sure we will. I think we're just kind of getting to all that stuff.
Okay. I'm just friendly reminder.
So
No, I know.
Topsy and probably break out just to, since they know the, or at least knew the general area, probably see what's changed, etc., etc. So they'll be going off alone.
Okay. So Topsy and Turvy have left the group.
What about Jim Jam?
I don't know. What would Jim Jar be interested in? He hasn't been home in a while, you know? He does have a house here. It's over in, I'm going to say it's probably in, like,
Well-
Area 12C.
Well, he'd be interested in finding out, well, going home, greeting his family if he's got any, and also finding out what rooms are around, because he's been with the party for a while and they seem helpful enough. And he might be able to find some things for him to do due to his vocation when he's not being a prisoner. So yeah, he'll find out what he can and see what things he could possibly drag the group into if they're agreeable. Because he's probably get more information than any of us would. So he's happy to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically just going to find out what he can. Probably go and see the leaders because I'm assuming that's who he works for.
My table just froze. Yeah, that's hard locked. I apologize, guys. I'm gonna have to close Fantasy Grounds and restart it.
No worries.
No, let me see if I can reload UI. No, it won't even let me.
Early night.
No, it doesn't. He just has to reload it.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't work. Let's try more up.
This is literally called Happy Gnome Town.
Sounds like they just took the Ewok village.
You probably aren't wrong about that. Okay, table's back up. You guys can reconnect.
Yeah, like that's 100% sounds like Wicked.
Teacher bad, try the claws. Yeah, we'll pull him all the way down to the ground. We're close enough. Those are wings. Where do you think this leaving us?
Careful, Thidriel. I will put that on in the background.
No, like play it. You play them together, and they sound like they can go together. Honestly, just hit play on it, and you'll see.
Well, I guess Ewoks are Star Wars version of gnomes.
Can you tell that it's different?
No, see, that's what I'm saying. It's a little different, but not much.
That's fantastic. Okay, looks like everybody's back in.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, all right, we are back in Blingden Stone, and we have Shade is going to the Ruby in the Rough, which is section 8. Halavin, you're just kind of exploring.
No, I'm going with him.
Oh, you're going with him to the temple?
Yep. In case they need any information from me, since I saw the thing.
Okay, you guys can head up to section 8. Thidriel and Shadira, I think you said you were going to section 15 to the Singing Stones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trey, what are you up to today?
I'm gonna follow Thidriel and Shadira.
Okay, and remember, this is not necessarily like a work day. You guys are all kind of just relaxing, taking it easy. You said that... Halavin, do you have a weapon other than your boar spear?
I'm not sure that I do. Well, my crossbow.
Okay, so you would just have your crossbow and your drow poison, not necessarily your boar spear?
Right.
Okay, and that should be fine to, nobody's going to mess with you when you're walking around with a loaded crossbow, even if you're not in your armor, right?
I should see about picking up a dagger or something, yeah.
Okay, you can do
Don't
that.
think we kept those short swords.
You
sword from the
did
prison.
not keep most of the short swords, no.
Yeah.
But you could head over to Area 7 if you want to just pick up a dagger or
No,
something.
I
and it's on the
threw a
NPC
short
list.
sword into the bag of holding, remember?
I didn't have it in the party sheet.
John, do you remember I gave it to you and I told you to put it in the bag of holding?
Yep. There was a short sword that was stuck in the bag of holding.
Because once I got my my staff back, I didn't want the sword anymore, so I put it in the bag for everybody.
Alright.
Somebody
I
wanted
just
it.
shared a short sword to Halavin.
Okay.
Plus, there was the one I had once I got my staff back.
Does your staff, is it all one piece or does it break in half?
So it's all in one piece. We had talked about that beforehand. I can put it into 2 pieces, or I can put it into 3 pieces. It doesn't change the damage or anything like that, but...
Oh, no, I meant Shadira, but then I realized Shadira has
Oh.
Dawnbringer, which looks like a longsword in a sheath. It's just a little bit ornate, so that's fine too, if you don't want to carry the double-bladed around. And you have some hand axes and such as well, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Trey, you have, what, a quarterstaff, I think, is your primary?
Correct.
and some daggers. And Thidril, you have your like we said, you have your 3-section staff and the necklace of fireballs again because it's just jewelry.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys are walking around. You're more or less armed. Shade, what's your primary?
And we've all.
What was that?
You have a mace.
Yep, I have a mace and I have a dagger, if I recall.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not huge. Like you could carry that with you.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's the other thing which I realised we don't actually have anymore on our items is the hand crossbows we were all carrying for the drow.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you sold that stuff, but you can have it back if you want it.
Yeah, I didn't mean that should have been on my character. I didn't mean to sell a hand cross. There wasn't any hand crossbows in the party sheet. Otherwise, I would have taken it back for sure.
Okay.
Put back
Well,
on the- I
you
can
know where
put
they
back
are.
on the
Go ahead
street,
and take a
but-
hand crossbow and 20 bolts if you want one.
But yeah, finding out if the person playing the crystals minds if I dance while they play.
They don't mind at all as long as you do it like from the front and just make sure you don't like trip over the crystals or whatever.
Yep.
But you will not be getting money for this. It's just more of a like performance art kind of thing.
Yeah, that's it exactly. She just wants to relax and dance.
All right, absolutely. You can do that. It's I would say this is almost meditative for you to like just be able to dance without having any actual enemies dealing with or like, you know, trying to impress people or anything like that. So you can like, you know, you can try out some new moves and you can do this and that, and if you fall down, like the kids are just going to laugh. You know, like this is a good relaxing experience for you.
Yep, that's what I'm looking for. So that's what she's doing.
So I'm kind of half paying attention. I'm half trying to fasten the jug to my right wrist,
Okay.
so that way I can just like take a sip and let go of it, and it doesn't fall anywhere.
So hold on.
I'm assuming there's like one of those small little handles on it or something like that. So I'm trying to tie something around that and then tie that around my wrist, kind of thing. Nothing like super intricate, or it doesn't look flashy by any means. It's just for like the functionality of having it stay on my wrist.
If it ever freaking downloads, I will show you. Here it is. That in the Discord chat and Out of the Abyss, that's what an alchemy jug looks like.
Okay.
So you can see there's plenty of spouts that are like built into the ceramic that you could loop a couple ropes around or whatever.
Yeah, so I'm probably actually sitting there like looping rope around each loop, probably 2 or 3 times in succession, like going over and then going in the same pattern over, so it looks like it's got that almost like a sword like hilt handle kind of like wrapped around it in rope, holding
Okay.
it, binding it all together, and then I'm like taking that rope and just tying it around my wrist.
Okay. So doing like the kind of like the paracord hilt for a knife kind of
Yeah.
thing with it. Yeah. Cool.
Exactly.
All right, no problem. So you have that. It's attached to your wrist. If you have this on your wrist, it's not going to impede your movement. And the jug itself, I'm going to say, just for ease of play, is unbreakable unless there's a crit fail or something like that, and we can work that out later. But
Sure.
it won't impede your movement at all. It will be an action to equip or unequip, just like your armor. Is that fair?
Yeah, that no problem at all.
Okay. So Shade, you make your way to the temple. Glyphic is there. He's very happy to see you. He just seems, you know, he's doing everything. He's doing the minimum requirements because he literally cannot do more than the minimum here by himself. But he's holding it down. It's just he's looking a little tired, a little worn out, a little anxious.
Alrighty. Well, at that point, I'll walk up to him and, give out a hand for a handshake and,
He does
morning,
the whole
brother.
the whole 2-hand clasp shake. Oh, it's so good to see you.
And ask him, how are things going this morning?
Oh, it's very similar to most days. The borough warden is acting up a little bit, but he does that. He's a grouch. But you don't need to hear about what's going on in the catacombs right now. I'm sure you have many more important things to do.
Oh, yeah. All issues, small or large, should reach their resolution. I did have a couple questions, if I might indulge you, or if you might
Absolutely.
indulge me.
If you wouldn't mind, though, I do have to attend to a few things. You can just if you don't mind following me from place to place as I do my chores, that would be very helpful.
And there's nothing wrong with a nice walk and talk.
Okay. So he wants to talk to you, he really does, but he has to replace candles and refill oil jugs and change bandages and all kinds of stuff. So you're talking, but you're also kind of
And-
walking.
And if I'm able to help him while we're doing that, if he's pulling out the candles that are dead and replacing them, I'll give him a hand and,
Yeah, you can absolutely do that.
that kind of thing,
Okay, and this will count
Um,
as your kind of influence activity for the day.
All right, cool. Yesterday one of my party members visited a small cavern, and it sounded like there might be a specter inside. Would you know anything about this?
He kind of just hangs his head and he says, are you referring to Vazuk's house?
Yeah.
I'm guessing something else I'm going to say.
Halavin chimes in. Yeah, that's the one.
All right.
Okay, then I can't help you.
You are dancing beautifully along to the singing stones, Shadira. So he says, that's absolutely one of the tasks that the warden has been bothering me about for weeks. I just don't have any way to do that myself. You see, I was only an acolyte at the time that my master was killed, and with no one else to train me, I've just been kind of making do.
Well, we all help where we can. It's a good thing that you actually have tried to participate. But perhaps there's something that I might be able to help out to rid this world of this undead beast.
If you are interested in that, the best person to talk to would be Borough Warden Jadger, down in the catacombs.
Might you be able to point me in the direction or help facilitate the meeting?
Oh, of course. Just head down those steps, and I am positive he will make his presence known.
Well, before we go, though, just one thing I was curious about. I bumped into a couple of folks after I backed out of that cave, and folks there seemed to take that thing in stride. They didn't seem to be too concerned about it.
Well, we've come to be very pragmatic in our dealings with things that we can't control. We have many other incursions into Blingdenstone at the moment, and the general citizenry, while we could absolutely use the space and our artisans would love to have access to the tools and everything that are in there, it's just not worth risking injury or death to fight a ghost.
Gotcha. Risk and reward.
And again, Shade, and Halavin, you're kind of catching on that this guy's really the only divine practitioner in town, and he's not great. So they don't have anyone that would really be able to purify or do an exorcism or anything like that. So they're kind of conserving their energy for the things that they can fight, even though that would be a huge boon to them to have that building available.
Gotcha.
Yeah, one of those, do what you can, but if you can't, hope that it goes away.
Right, and the people that were walking by, the reason they were chuckling is because that's a prank that people will play on people. Oh yeah, go to Vazik's house. I heard it's fine now.
Sure.
Come out with a minor thing embedded in your arm, you MFer.
And just one other thing here was kind of, we've been traveling around a bit and have talked to some folks here and there through this fine city, and I've heard it repeated theme that there's maybe a ghost problem? Maybe just something more than just this one?
So he kind of sighs deeply, and he says, like hanging his head, he's like, "Yes, as I said, I'm not up to the task. There are many
Well, no,
ghosts that
I
have been
ain't blaming
from
nobody.
the raid 10 years ago. There are many unquiet spirits in the area, both drow warriors and our own, who were never able to rest properly, and I just have not been able to do anything about it because we also have corporeal problems that I can do something about. The people are in need of spirits." You can tell he's like kind of spiraling at this point.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm just asking. We're new here, and I'm just trying to get up to speed, so to speak.
Might you have somewhere, or over the next day or two, create a list of the different spirits that may need help moving on to the other realm?
He could try to do that, but the best place for you to find out would be to talk to the Burrow Warden, because he's in charge of the catacombs, and he basically deals with all the living and the dead type issues here.
All right, we will speak with him then.
I'm not, putting you on rails here. That's what he would say.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So taking the stairs down towards the catacombs, they are. As you step down off the last step, the catacombs are built along a mostly regular grid, making it easy for you to find your way among standing statues, funerary niches, that kind of thing. Are you kind of calling out at all? It's just like a big open area. Like I don't know. Have you ever seen any of like the great old graveyards? Like personally,
Yep.
as players, like there's statues and there's like the nooks in the walls and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, where there's not a smooth path in the place. It kind of just goes, yeah.
Right. I mean, the floors are very smooth. It's not maze-like.
I
Like
mean-
every passage leads into the other passages. It's very easy to get in and out of here, but like there's a lot of it, right?
Yeah. Personally, Shade wouldn't call out, just because this is meant to be a place of worship. It's not a place. Hey, Bob, are you? He just
Yeah.
wouldn't do that.
Okay. Halavin, same
So,
thing.
I'll follow Shade's lead on this. I mean, it's a church, and he's a cleric.
Okay. So you walk around and you notice a few. The statues are kind of that combination of like, warriors in heroic poses and like religious figures throughout history. Shade, you get bits and snatches. You remember, there's mostly two religions represented here. There's the Earthcaller and there's the other one that I forget the name of right now. Shadira, it's in your inventory.
Dawnbringer's in my inventory, but it refers to Sunblade as it's got all the properties of the Sunblade as well.
Ah,
That's why I was asking. Just to see if there's anything on Sunblade which is not on Dawnbringer.
interesting. So after a while, I will keep looking that up while I'm talking.
Yep.
So after a while, a form, like a misty form, kind of appears in front of you. And it is a deep gnome, and he's dressed in kind of like battle cleric robes. That could be why I can't find any of these. Somehow I don't have the GM's guide loaded. Yikes. Okay, so he kind of like the mist like kind of swirls in front of you, and it forms into this image of, and a Shade, you're very familiar with a battle cleric type guy, right? Like, I mean, he's like a little bit older, a little bit grizzled. He's got a big heavy mace on his belt, but priest robes and the big symbol of his religion hanging from his neck, that kind of deal.
Yep, totally identifiable.
And he says, "Greetings, outsiders. I am Burrow Warden Jadger."
Greetings, Warden.
Howdy.
This is Shade. And,
Burrow
Um,
Warden is the title, Jadger is the name.
oh, okay. So, greetings, Jadger. I'm Shade. This is my companion, Halvin. We were sent down here from, and I'm trying to remember his name. The one Ackline up top.
Glyphic.
Glyphic. Okay. Glyphic sent us down here.
Did you get that,
Um,
Shadira?
Yeah, it's just showing me a longsword hilt because it's not identified.
Damn it. Sorry, guys.
Thank you.
No worries.
No, it's all good.
There we go. Okay. So you
Spinning
say to
25
him...
different plates. Yes, Glyphic sent us down here. We were looking at information about the sector over in the house, and wondering if you also had a list of the undead that may need help moving on from this world.
Okay. He will pretty gladly talk your ear off about this stuff. It's not like he has anything better to do. He speaks candidly about who he is, what happened to him, which was basically he was the keeper of the catacombs, the main priest in charge of, funeral rites and blessing the warriors and that kind of thing. Not to be confused with the actual cleric of the Earthcaller. He was a secondary role to that person. Both of them died in the Drow raid 10 years ago. Jadger, because so many people died that day, was never really able to go to his rest because he felt he had too much more work to do. And then also when all the ghosts started appearing, it really kind of like made him manifest more frequently. He's been trying to get that worthless Glyphic to do something, but the boy just doesn't seem able to handle any of these tasks. So he tells you that he will answer one question about the Underdark for every one of these tasks that you complete. And the two tasks that he gives you are to destroy Vazuk. He tells you that this person, he was a deep gnome, he was a leather worker, very, very talented crafter. His goods were sold all throughout the Underdark. But when he was killed in his home before he could complete his masterwork, he went mad with grief, and he's become a threat to the other residents of Blingdenstone. He starts to give you directions to Vazuk's home, and Halvin, you already know where it is.
Yep.
That is Area 12A for both of you.
Right.
He also says, as a second task, he would like you to recover the remains of a deep gnome called Udhask. One second. And bring them to the catacombs. So Jadger knows that the deep gnome died somewhere in the Rock Blight, in the north, this kind of southeast portion of Blingdenstone, and you guys have not been there yet. And again, he will, in addition to getting like a story beat for that, like XP wise, you guys will also be able to ask him one question. And this is a ghost, so he has considerable knowledge of things that you might not about the Underdark for each task that you complete. He cannot offer you any physical rewards, obviously, as he has no physical belongings.
Yeah, totally understandable. Who was this Udhask?
He... I don't have that information to hand. Give me a second.
He was a deep gnome. Cool, got it.
He was a deep gnome who died. Hold up. Okay, so Udhask was one of the richest men prior to, in Blingdenstone, prior to the Drow invasion. He was very fat, but not necessarily in great health. Everybody was a little bit worried for him. He was kind of like not the financial minister. He didn't have an official position, but he was the one who was like basically the bank of the city prior to the drow. And he kind of disappeared when the drow invaded. Like, nobody really knows what happened to him. But he was an influential figure, and Jadger would feel better if his remains could be brought to the catacombs so they could be properly put to rest, because he, like, his spidey sense is telling him that Uthask is not at rest.
Out of character question.
Okay.
For the locate object, would a body be considered an object?
Have you ever met Uthask before?
I'm wondering if we could get a description or a photo of him to identify what he looks like and that kind of thing.
So I will say, if you can find someone in this town who has an object that belonged to Uthask, then yes. Do kind of like a divination type thing on the object to tie it to the body kind of deal, like that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I will create said item and hide it somewhere in the next 15 seconds.
Okay.
No,
Maybe
use the
there's a
Bank of the City,
commission
there's
that
probably
the
just general coins.
What was that, Shade? I did hear you, Halvin.
maybe there's an object that or a commission that was done in the leatherworker place that
Could be. You don't know. But Jadger says it shouldn't be difficult. Like, if you're going to explore Rockblight anyways, great. If not, it's one of the things on his to-do list, and he has literally all the time in the rest of the universe to figure this out. So it's something that you could help him with, because Glyphic doesn't really seem to be able to leave the temple. He just doesn't have time. But you know, if you are able to find that, then you'll get another answer.
all right.
So that'll be it for you guys. Thidriel,
Okay.
talk a little bit more about this.
Yeah, so I fashioned the thing around, and how I kind of fashioned it, I took the rope and I kind of bound it around my arm, so I can make it so it's longer or shorter, as to how, like, I can unravel it and offer it to people, and I don't have to be like right next to them to drink it, kind of thing. So I've got it kind of unraveled a little bit, and I'm walking around, and I'm just kind of asking people about, you know, their religious beliefs. You know, if anybody would want to tell me, I would stop and listen to them, and then reply by telling them about, you know, what I believe. You know, it's not a god in any way, shape, or form. So anybody that would know anything about religion is probably looking at me like I'm a little bit strange, because I'm telling you about this root that I found in the middle of a temple, like a small, like, root, like, built out of root, like tree root temple in this forest that I stayed at as a hermit. And I believe that this thing, because there was a sapling that never died, it probably was dead in, you know, in the actual course of the game, but my character, because it never changed the way it looked, I assumed it was always alive.
Mhm.
And I, you know, in my going craziness of spending all this alone time in this thing, in this hut, I believed it to be my god. And that's kind of like my monastic order. So I'm explaining this to people, and they're probably giving me some weird looks. And then I'm just offering sips, and, you know, in 7 days after my story, I'm going to the next person.
Yeah, the whole do you want a sip of this amazing beer goes a long way to offset the whole crazy Brightlander thing, so you're good.
Okay, but yeah, so that's what I'm doing, just kind of going through all the people that are in the crowds watching the
there's a
dancing.
couple people that are interested, the children especially, because they always like hearing new stories. They haven't heard anything like this before. They're not necessarily familiar with the concept of tree roots, the younger ones especially.
So all that, if, like, the ones that kind of looked as confused as I say tree roots, I'll pull out my staff, because that's carved out of one of the tree roots.
Mhm.
And I'll show it to them, and I'll say, like, this isn't exactly what a tree root looks like, but this is the material that it is, and kind of let them hold it, and I'll, like, pull it apart and let them see the different ways you can use it and stuff like that. I'm not too drunk at this point, so I'm not swinging around wildly. If this was later in the evening, I definitely would be, like, maybe hitting people with it really close to their heads and stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, but right now I'm just kind of like showing that to them and explaining what tree roots are. And like, if I look up to the top of this cave, would I see any tree roots or anything like that, like hanging down for the world above?
No, so you are significantly lower than tree roots would extend at this point. The only type of, and even the quote-unquote wood that grows down here, that zerk wood, is actually mushroom stalks that have just partially petrified, essentially.
Yeah, that's why I looked to the ceiling instead of looking down at all.
Yeah, no, but you're way underground. The ceiling is the same type of kind of like, just crystals growing overhead, although those ones are smaller and faintly luminescent. They're not as, impressive as the
Sure.
ones that they play that grow out of the floor.
What I'll probably do then is I'll take my staff and I'll find like a dirty clearing on the ground, and I'll draw the outline of what a tree is, with like a big bushy top and like the trunk, and I'll explain, and then I'll draw roots coming down at the bottom of it, and then draw like a ground lines, and showing them that the roots are going down under the ground, and I'll explain to them how the tree roots give life to the tree by absorbing all of the water and the nutrients from the ground and things like that. And I'll tell them about photosynthesis and the leaves and how they produce oxygen for the world and things like that, and how the trees are such a powerful thing in the world that help us survive. And explain to them that that's one of the reasons why I believe that it's a god, is because they help us live.
Excellent. You have a bunch of very wide-eyed children, and bemused parents at this point. I'm not gonna. You might get a couple people that are like, I'd like to talk to you more about this later. And
Sure.
that's up to you if you want to try and do that. But for the most part, everybody is very accepting of what you're talking about. They, some of them are like have their own beliefs, but nobody has the energy to fight. They're here to relax. Everybody's having a good time. You're passing around a jug. Everybody's having a good time in here right now,
Yeah.
basically.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm also encouraging them to give Shadira more praise on her dancing, to get her to keep dancing longer and
Okay.
stuff like
And
that.
you can see now, Shadira's like, I would say probably at this point, Shadira, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but you're probably like really in your flow right now. Like I said, you're like, you've got that like that sheen of like kind of healthy sweat, and you're just dancing like more and more impressively, trying more and more drastic things. And occasionally you might mess one up, but then you get up and you try it again a couple more times, and it comes out perfectly, and everybody's like, ooh, ah, you know. So it's a fairly just how do I say this? It's a really healthy environment to be in right now, like especially with the mental challenges you guys have had recently. It's a really healthy place to be here right now. Trey, what are you up to? I read your thing. Where are you standing? Near the door to the temple? Near the door to the singing stones?
They were with us. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm listening to the music, trying to place this new noise.
Okay.
New sound.
I don't think you ever would have experienced something like this before. This
No,
type
I
of
wouldn't
music.
have.
I mean, you've heard, pipes and drums and maybe some fiddles or lutes or something like that just in the course of, poorly played by mercenaries or whatever, but you haven't ever heard music for music's sake before?
Yes, it would be completely foreign to me.
But I would say you've definitely read books where music was featured and the beauty of music, and you never really understood what they were talking about until now, right? So this is kind of like almost like a cultural awakening for Trey.
And I'm just standing there, kind of at rest with my head down, eyes closed, just listening to it, letting it kind of drown out some of the thoughts.
Okay. It's getting to be about lunchtime now. You guys went down in the catacombs. You were talking to the priest and helping him out with minor chores for a while. Shadira, Thidriel, Trey, you were hanging out at the Singing Stones. Do you guys want to regroup for the midday meal and kind of compare notes?
Yeah,
That
sure.
sounds fair. Yeah.
Question for you. Just how many people took sips of my jug, just so I can take that off of my inventory of how much alcohol I have in there. How many people are around? And then
There were
like then I'll
probably
roll
only 3 other adults in the room.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll a d4, and we'll say all 3 people
Okay.
drank from it.
So then you're
Okay,
down.
cool.
You're down 3 cups.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Do you want to do metric, or is English okay? Or
No,
imperial?
that's
Okay.
good.
All right.
That's I'm all good. Yeah.
I know you have more understanding of measurements than I do, so I'm just trying to be considerate.
No, it's all good. Yeah, be like a restaurant guy, right?
That's what I'm
definitely
saying. So
understand.
I would say like they weren't drinking heavily, so they maybe just took a cup each just to try it, and they were like they liked it, it was good, but they're not trying to get drunk at 9 a.m. either.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you guys, I'm gonna say you go ahead and head back to the tavern because you got these. It's still free meals. The first 3 days are free, so it's still free meals for now. After that, you would have to pay unless you complete a task, and then you'd get another couple days free on the management, basically, right?
Yeah. Stuffing rolls and biscuits into napkins in the purse. Yeah.
Okay, so you head back to the tavern, and who has something they want to talk about? Shadira, you're looking real happy and relaxed at this point, right? I mean, that was a great session for you. Kind of like, just any time you do something you really love for 3 or 4 hours, and you're tired, but you're real happy about it, that kind of thing.
I'll get back and I'll just kind of be like, guys, you missed a show. Like you definitely see that Thidriel is starting to relax. His real personality is starting to come out a little bit more. He doesn't have that sullen look in his eyes. He looks more. They're more almost glazed over from the alcohol now, but he's got that smile going on. He's just telling people about the dance, and he's just really happy telling everybody about. He feels like all the kids that he talked to are now his friends. Kind of thing. So he's just telling everybody about that.
Okay. I'm sure those kids would say the same thing. Mommy, we
Yeah,
met the
'cause-
coolest guy. He told us about trees. They're like giant mushrooms, but they're like different, and they're like mushroom, but they're not mushrooms, but they grow and they make oxygen, and that's how we can all live.
Yeah, because
Like
you got
that
to think,
kind of
like I'm a 28-year-old elf, so I'm still kind of like a child myself.
Oh yeah, for
right?
sure.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of explaining that. I'm very joyfully like on a kind of like jumping up on the chair and saying like what the adults were saying back to me about their religion, then going back to the ground and being myself, and like really jovially explaining how what just happened to me.
Okay. Trey, how about you? What's your mindset nowadays, or this afternoon?
The usual. I'm just going to be kind of stoic and reserved and listen much more than I
Okay. Yeah, okay. Any of your NPCs do anything interesting today? So far? I know probably Topsy and Turvy aren't back yet.
I've been kind of go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I've been talking more than you have.
Yeah, so I've been kind of avoiding even mentioning it, but yeah, Ron fucking hates this. He doesn't want to be here. He doesn't want to be lingering. He doesn't want to be hanging around with any of these people. He wants to go and get topside. But he doesn't want to do it alone either. So he's trapped, he's frustrated, he's angry, he's hateful, he's not having a good time.
Okay. I have a thing.
And I've been avoiding that because I don't want to be disrupting the party and everything. I mean, but the way I'm reading that character is like he would be a gargantuan pain in the ass right now. Am I off base on that?
No, not at all. I'm gonna do a whisper here, so come with me to whispers, please.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so would Ront be interested in getting into a fight? What was that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because remember when you guys came through the staging area and there was like all the deep gnomes and badgers and like everything was fortified and all that kind of stuff? They are watching out. Basically, they're the keepers of the passage to Rockblight, and there's pretty much always minor encounters going on there. like just random like CR 1/4 monsters and stuff that are going on coming out of there, and the defenders kind of fight him off and stuff. So if Ront wants to get some blood on his hands, he could go hang out at the staging area. And there's actually a mini mission that I can give you if he was doing that. But I don't want to force it on you. I'm just presenting options.
I didn't. Again, like I said, I haven't been doing much with Ront because really all Ront would be doing would be disrupting everything.
Okay, so he's just sitting in the room, sulking, being a dick at dinner,
Yeah.
that kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I just want to throw it out there. I'll bring it up in a different way later.
So yeah, that's something we bring up. Yeah, he'd be more than happy to go kill a bunch of crap.
Okay, and I'll throw some rumors at you to kind of, maybe point him in that direction to the rest of the party. Is that fair?
And yeah, and then since we're here, I know we need to get back, but the way I'm reading Darendil is like he thinks he's an elf, so he's just kind of going along with. What we're
absolutely,
doing here.
like absolutely, nose in the air,
Yeah.
like, oh, these gnomes are so quaint, and this area is so dirty.
Yeah, exactly. But he's not a dick. He's just above it all. And
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's when I read that character sheet. It was very much like nose in the air until he smells blood, and then rage beast. Right.
Exactly. Right. Yep.
Okay. Cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and head back now.
Yep.
All right. So Halvin and I had a little talk. Ront has basically been just sulking in the cave that you guys have, and just generally like making dickish comments at dinner. Like everybody knows he's not happy. Just sitting around. He wants to get back to the surface as soon as possible, and that's fine. Probably other of your NPCs. Does anyone else need any whispers right now for how their NPCs were acting?
No, I feel like Eldith has kind of gone off on her own, trying to ask if she can help. She's got that selfless, and she kind of wants to throw herself into that danger. So maybe she's trying to offer help into the unknown area, or into the places that are still kind of blocked off. She's trying to throw herself into that. I don't know if she's really getting any luck doing it.
I was actually just suggesting to Halvin, but this would even be a better thing for Eldith. So you remember when we walked through Area 10, the staging area? And there were all those fortifications and the deep gnomes with the cave badgers, like, defending areas and such?
Sure.
So that is, as you could find out through rumors easily enough over the course of your day, that is where the entrance to Rockblight, that area, is. And the reason why it's so well fortified and it has so many defenders is that essentially, like, minor monsters are constantly coming out of there and trying to get into Blingdenstone. So these dwarves are basically, they stand there all day. They might have 4 hours in between, they might have 8 hours in between, they might have 3 days in between, or they might only have 20 minutes in between something coming out of those caves and them having to kill it.
So maybe what happened is the first day, Eldith, she spent the night in the room. She's used to being in a prison cell, so she spent the night in the room. And I'm sure Ront kind of did too. And maybe she just watched him getting all antsy. The second day, we're off at lunch. He's making his comments. She doesn't really want to stay idle. We're just going to do menial things. So she turns to Ront and says, "Hey, why don't we go up there and offer some help?" And they can kind of go off together.
Good, Halvin, it's your character. Not hearing you.
I said Ron would totally be down with that.
Okay, so Eldith and Ront have been out at the staging area, basically. Not, like I said, it's nothing that the party would really need to worry about. It's like these little, like, to the players, like CR 1/4, 1/8 type creatures that are coming through at this time.
Yeah.
But they're just extra sword, extra shield, extra pair of hands, whatever, and they get to have some fights and feel like they're doing some good for the community, right?
I feel like Shushar would be. Is there any type of body of water anywhere in here?
Not that you've seen. However, there is an area for Shushar that I think he would be very interested in. Area 13 is a small cavern which has a circle of stone menhirs predating Blingdenstone as a city. And they believe that these stones are like the manifestations of ancient gods. But I feel like that would be like an absolute place for like deep meditation on the history of the world kind of thing.
Sure, because what he was going to try to do is if there was a body of water, he was just going to go and kind of try to send off good prayers through the water to his people back home. But if there's a better place for meditation, then yeah, he'll go there.
Yeah, this would be a better
'Cause
place
either
for
way, he was just going
meditation.
to be meditating.
There are no bodies of water in Inner Blingdenstone or that you passed through. Outer Blingdenstone is basically fortification, so I'm not really going to focus on that area too much, like areas 1 through 4.
Yeah.
That's just like the maze, the gauntlet, the main gate, that kind of stuff. Inner Blingdenstone, where you've been spending time right now, is the city of the Deep Gnomes specifically. Rockblight is a lost area to them. They can't get in there because everything in there is like vicious monsters.
Sure.
The Pudding
yes,
Court
so-
is, I mean, there's a lot of frickin' oozes up there, so they really haven't adventured into it too much. And Gold Whisker is the Were-Rat Haven. So, but I would say the Speaking Stones, or, I mean, maybe, is it literally any body of water? Because there's those hot springs behind the bar that are natural, but I don't know
No,
if that
I don't
would
think.
qualify.
I think he was looking for more just like a still body of water. It didn't have to be anything massive or anything big or anything like that. But I think he was kind of looking to be kind of alone-ish, almost. He had thought that he had found somebody that he was really connecting with, and then I don't think that he really liked me mixing my meditation with the alcohol kind of thing. I just don't
Yeah.
see him enjoying that. So he's like almost pulling away to the point where I may actually roll a religion check for him to see if when we leave here, if he just stays meditating.
Okay, so the meditative type pools of water are in the Rockblight, and they are currently lost to the
Okay,
gnomes.
so then yeah, so he's just in area 13, just kind of sitting there, just thinking about his people back home, wishing them like safe thoughts, and in wishing that when he returns, they can kind of he can try to turn them to what he wants and to make them believe what he wants. So he's just trying to send vibes that way.
Okay, there is a minis quest for that mission, or for that area. So we can talk about
Okay.
that in a moment. Anybody not talked about what their NPCs were doing? How about Trey? Your NPCs don't do anything, really.
Correct.
Thidriel, Shadira, anything there? We said Jim Jar was visiting his family, talking to the higher-ups, just generally trying to, like, reincorporate himself into the gossip network and the town itself and, like, get a feel for everything. Is that correct? Dom? Okay, we'll come back to that then.
Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Yep, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I was dealing with something here. Now, what was the question?
Would your NPCs have been doing anything other than Jim Jar just kind of like re-ingratiating himself and like getting back into the
No.
gossip network and all that kind of stuff?
No,
So I'm
Sarah's-
assuming Sereth would be like, just like, these people are beneath me. I'm gonna hide in the house, like that
Pretty
kind of
much.
deal.
Pretty much, yep. That or out sitting in the tavern just getting drunk.
Okay. And is that it, Halvin? You only had Ront, or did you have somebody else?
I had Darendil also, and
Oh, we
you know,
talked
we
about him.
kinda
Yeah.
touched
How
on-
about
yeah, we
Shade?
talked
What
about him,
is
but
Bapito
he's-
doing anything?
But Peter would probably be, I would guess, hanging around the tavern, kind of just listening to all the people talk when there are people there.
Okay. And he is like kind of that very charismatic, like garrulous, like very outgoing kind of guy.
Yeah, charismatic without having much charisma whatsoever. Yeah. But I don't see him being one to go out to fight the creatures unless it's, not necessarily a show of force, but like a, oh hey, I'm here participating with you kind of action.
Right.
So yeah, he could, if no one else is at the bar, I could see him going to the where the music crystals are and just listening to the different performances, just taking in the good life.
Okay. All right. So Over lunch, you're comparing notes. What kind of stuff do we have here, guys? What are we looking at in terms of things you want to share with each other?
I literally have no information about anything other than what because I just talked to people about the religion. I haven't gotten any information on anything, so I have nothing to share.
I have nothing to share.
Yeah, Trey doesn't either, right? I think it's just Halavan and Shade that have stuff to share.
Yep. But what we got to share is an actual work, and I guess some folks around here don't want to work anymore. So that's fine. Y'all take it easy. We got this.
No, I think Thidriel feels relaxed enough at this point that he's good to go do anything. You know what I mean? He's talked to some people. He's this is like he's a other than being at his home with his family and the other people in the city, and that was all destroyed around him, kind of thing. He's been a hermit, so being around people is different and new and exciting, kind of thing. So he's definitely been more comfortable now, and he feels like he's ready to go off do whatever.
Okay, Dara's already told you that she'll come help you with dealing with ghosts and so forth.
Yeah. It was strictly chops busting, but okay.
Yeah. Stop being a pain and tell us what there is to do.
Well, it falls to matters that are sort of outside my expertise, but there is a ghost problem here in Blingdenstone, and the cleric in charge of the temple is ill prepared for it. So we have been implored by the borough warden Jadger, who is a ghost that lives under the church, to perhaps take on some of this, and the first one being the ghost of a leather worker, an artisan who lived just up the street here, has become, well, what I was told was poltergeist. Shade thinks it's something else, but he's haunting his shop, and they would like to get access to that shop back. And this is sort of in character and out of character too, because one of the things that we were offered as payment for this was every task for him that we accomplish, he will answer a question about the Underdark. And player, I'm kind of, is it valuable? I mean, when we're here, we know we're stuck. We're trying to get out.
Maybe he knows shortcuts.
What's the
No.
best way to get to the surface without resistance or avoiding patches of X?
Yeah.
Also, there are many lost cities and taverns and so forth down here. If you've got information to where lost cities are, that's valuable.
Okay.
Things like that. Everyone thinks the Underdark is just one small area, but it's huge areas, and there's civilizations that have come and gone down here, and no trace of them has been found again. They raise up, they're around for a few thousand years, and then they disappear again. There are whole cities that just disappear.
I was happy not knowing about them before, and I'll be happy when I can get above ground and not think about them again.
But that sort of information is valuable to certain people. So you could sell it for gold or items or stuff like that.
Well, I'll turn to Hal and I'll say, well,
And
you and Shay know where we're going, so you
yeah,
guys
no,
lead the
Shade,
way.
did you want to add anything to this, or?
No, that sounds about right. That there's a masterpiece, or he was working on a masterpiece in there that may be the cause of why he went insane. So, and can't move on past where he is now. So keep an eye out for something that may look like it could be a masterpiece. Or his mastercraft thing, yeah.
And I think with that, we kind of get up and leave the tavern and start heading that way.
I don't think we're going to need all the NPCs, are we?
Okay.
No, we're
I've
probably gonna wanna
added
gear up,
another
though.
note here called side quests.
Yep.
So you have your two main quests, right? Which is the were-rats and the oozes, right? In addition to that, you have found these so far these 4 side quests. The staging area, the leader there warned you about rock blight. At the standing stones, or the speaking stones, they told you there was a reward for cleaning out the temple of the people who keep care of those speaking stones. And then at the Ruby in the Rough, the temple that you've seen so far, you have Vazuk's house and just in general rock blight, recovering the Udhask remains. So there's 4 side quests in this area that don't contribute necessarily to the main quest, other than they will gain you reputation. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Side quests always before main quests.
That's entirely up to you guys. So you guys, what I'm hearing right now is you want to hat up and head to Vazuk's house?
Yeah.
Seems that way,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. So after your lunch at the tavern, you head back to the cavern, or your residential cave, and you go ahead and fully equip yourselves, all that kind of stuff. Shade, I saw your whisper. My answer is abso-frickin-lutely.
All right, cool.
Medusa's always got to objectify everybody.
All right, and we are going to head over as a group to area, what did I say, 12A, right? Vazuk's house.
Yep.
Okay, we're only going to use your characters for this.
Excellent.
You're not going to need your NPCs for this fight. I'm just telling you.
Oh yeah, Shushar isn't coming anyway, and Eldith is off doing other stuff. Same with Ron.
I'm just saying we can
Yeah.
pretend they were
Yeah.
here, like in terms of the lore of this, but I don't have a map for it. It's just an encounter with a single creature. You don't need your NPCs for this.
And whose
that fair?
NPC was with Ron?
Mine.
Yeah,
Okay.
Eldith and Ront are at the staging area. Just Ront's just getting some blood on
Right.
his knuckles. Eldith is
Well,
helping
just-
the community as a shield. Everybody's happy, right?
Well, just to put more of a finer point on that, and it's up to, well, I don't know how much it might matter to Eldeth. The things that Ront is doing to these creatures are nearly unspeakable. I mean, he's delighting in inflicting cruel deaths on these things. He's just enjoying the hell out of killing things and killing them in his
Oh
horrible
yeah. I
fashion.
mean, with what Eldith has seen in the prisons, she's probably doing the same kind of stuff. I
Okay.
imagine her not, a fully sane dwarf anymore. She's probably, she sees you bite off a head of something, and she probably stamps on the neck of something that she's done. Next, she chops off a hand and just leaves it running away, screaming, not able to work for the rest of its life, kind of thing. Like, she's enjoying the torture of all this as well.
Okay.
Okay. Thidriel, that's something we'll need to explore in a whisper later.
Sure.
Okay, so you are walking into Vazuk's home, and Halavin, are you taking point on this, or?
Yes. I'll give everybody the rundown of what happened. As soon as I set foot in here, this thing started screaming and hurling objects at me. I would expect that's going to happen again. So be ready to have things thrown at you, and some of them may be pretty dangerous.
All right. Before we walk in, I'll probably cast protection from evil and good on myself, just because I feel like if I become infected, it's bad. If the other guys become infected, I should be able to at least get rid of them or get rid of whatever's infecting them. You know what I mean? Or
Okay.
for like possession and stuff.
Yep. Go for it. Has everyone else applied their stuff?
Yeah, yes.
Yep.
I'll be using Dawnbringer.
Okay. Trey, do you have any? No, you don't really, do you?
No, but I just noticed that the thing is not renamed the thing.
What? I renamed it though. No, it is. The effect is renamed the thing. If you
Gotcha.
click that magnifying glass, you see, because that's the effect you'll actually apply.
Gotcha.
All right. So everybody's good. We're ready.
Yep.
Pushing open the door. Immediately, you hear the screaming, "Mine! Get out! It's my stuff! You can't have it! Get out, intruders!" And things just start rattling and like lifting up into the air aggressively. Are you all stepping fully into the house?
Kadir
Tidriel
is stepping
towards
fully
the
in.
back. But yeah, I'll
Shade
step
is.
in.
You are? Okay.
Yes.
So go ahead and roll initiative.
Did that not take? Okay. For whatever reason, it didn't take, but that was a 1 on mine, if you want me to reroll.
You know what? Go ahead and reroll.
Alright.
There you go.
Not like it mattered.
I mean, you're still at the bottom of the order. Karma's karma.
Yay!
Thidriel, you see standing in front of you, nothing, actually. You can kind of see like a blurry outline, but it's not even like a full-on smoke form of anything. It's just like kind of like a heat mirage in certain areas before a thing on, like, you see like the blurry outline of a person before a thing gets picked up off a table and thrown at you, kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like video game invisibility kind of deal.
Yep. Okay, but can I track where? So something's just getting thrown at me. Can I do a perception check to see if I can hear where it's moving or anything of that nature?
You can see it well enough to attack it. All of you can.
Okay.
It's just
Okay,
that
so-
there's not a physical being here for you to see. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I kind of take I unravel the drink like my jug like 3 notches, so it's hanging down a little bit.
Okay.
Grab it, I take a sip, and I walk up with my staff in my left hand and take a swing at it.
Okay.
And it's on here. Let's see, that's gonna be a hit.
Yes, it will.
I drop the jug. Kind of throw it. It kind of like wraps around the the quarterstaff in my other hand. I pull the quarterstaff to that hand with it, and then I just like the momentum of my hand pulling that quarterstaff, my left hand throws my unarmed strike at it, and that hits too.
That hits as well.
And that will be my turn.
Okay. You notice that you're not sensing the full amount of impact that you would on a physical creature.
Yeah. Okay. So my hand, like, I don't feel it with my staff. My staff goes through it, but I don't feel it. But when my hand comes through and punches it, I can feel that it's just kind of like going through it. It's still taking damage, but I yell back as like, guys, my hand went right through it, and that's my way of telling them that it's not doing full damage.
Okay. Do you guys generally understand that?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Halavin, you're up.
All right. Well, I expect I'm gonna mostly go through it, but I'll take about it with.
1 second. You gotta target it. But
Oh crap! Sorry.
that
It
will
would be a
hit.
hit. It was the same roll
That
as
will
mine.
hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead and roll damage, but roll it on the Vazuk and the combat tracker. There you go. Okay. So it, yeah. I mean, you stab straight into the thing with the boar spear, and the spear point like enters it. The two crossbars that are meant to like kind of keep the thing at range from you also kind of penetrate it all the way through, and you just kind of like whip the thing up into the side to get it out of there, so you're ready to attack again. You get the feeling that it didn't do as much damage as it could have, but the thing screams in pain, so you did something bad to it, right?
Cool.
Does that end your turn? You got
Poking
anything else?
air. For now, yeah. For now, that's it. I can't. Most of this stuff is reaction based. Yep.
Okay.
Where's that dragon head?
It's kind of like, if you've ever stabbed something with a pole arm before, I don't know if you have in real life or not, kind of feels like stabbing Jello or ballistic gel. Like it's not quite as resistant as real flesh.
Oh, okay. So it did have a feel to it.
Yeah, but not as much, right? Like it was kind of like stabbing Jello with a knife
It
instead
wasn't
of
just like waving
a
through
steak
the air,
with a knife, right?
Gotcha.
Trey.
Oh, since the
I cast
yelled
Eldritch
out-
Blast. Oh wait,
Yep.
sorry. Oh, he really did. That misses.
And I would just move out of the way for anyone else coming in. Sidestep.
Okay. Shadira.
Being dog, being up and around is what we're made for.
Okay.
We'll hit.
All right. As you bring Dawnbringer around, and it kind of like we're going lightsaber noises here, right? Is that the case?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. So you just whoomp through the thing, and it screeches in pain, and you're like, "What do you mean this isn't doing full damage? Come on, guys, get good."
Can surge. Might as well take it out while I'm here.
Okay.
And I miss. No, I hit.
That'll hit.
Nice. Did some extra damage.
And you bring this blade of just, golden fire down through the thing, and it just screeches.
I take a drink at the sound of its death. Like it's eerie, and I'm trying not to go back to that state of fear, so I'm gonna try to drink that away right away.
Okay. You are now standing in an empty house. It's pretty wrecked up. I mean, this thing has thrown everything that it could possibly throw at people for the past, 10 years. So, yeah, you did the thing. Do you want to, you're still in the house. Do you want to look around, or?
Yeah, checking
Yes.
around, looting the place.
Yes.
I'd see if
Okay.
we can find the masterpiece.
The masterpiece? Okay, so heading over to the table, you do find there is a half-finished piece on the table with a couple of very, very fine leatherworking tools scattered around it. Unfortunately, because it's been 10 years, the leather itself is cracked and degraded and really is not valuable anymore.
Any old alcohol bottles over here?
There are not. Vazuk was not a drinker, especially because, if he was going to drink, he would just go to the tavern and then come back home. He wouldn't keep alcohol at home because he was just working all the time.
Sure.
So, anybody want to investigate the masterwork instead of perception?
Yeah.
Oh, my perception was for the alcohol, not for the masterwork.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Just
okay.
So it would be a specific investigation of the masterwork. Okay, so Shade and Halavin, Thidriel, 20 plus 5. Jesus Christ. Shadira, 20. Okay.
We know everything.
Not even gonna roll.
You get... Go ahead and roll. Shade and Halavin, roll history.
Ooh.
Okay, so the guys that did the fantastic, actually, Thidril, you rolled insight instead of investigation, but it doesn't matter.
Sorry. My
So the investigation check, they're able to like describe to you exactly what they're seeing, and Halavin with a 19 in history, you are able to recognize that this piece was created for Udhask. It has the symbol that that was described to you as belonging to him.
Yeah, 2 birds with 1 stone, Shade.
Yeah, alrighty. We will.
So you're gonna hand that over to
Take
Shade
it
for use.
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't know if we brought you all up to speed, but Udhask was this other little task this ghost mentioned to us.
Who'd asked you about you? Asked you about it anyway.
Yep.
Sorry.
Is that a ritual you're going to have to perform in like the residential cave, Shade, or is that?
It's one of those we'll have to get close to the area first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I want to say it's within about
Okay.
1,000
I have
feet from
updated
where
the side quests, so we now have 3 of them because you've completed killing well, you've worked on killing Vazuk. He is dead. You still need to, let the Burrow Warden, like, you still have to turn in the quest, right? But I've updated it also with, you now have a masterwork recovered from Vazuk's house that can be used for locate object on remains. Okay?
Okay.
I'm trying to keep better notes here.
There's-
Anybody searching the house itself?
Yes, and specifically, I'm
yes.
looking at his tools. If there's any tools of his that are better than what I've got for tinkering or armor work, I'm gonna grab those for sure.
Idril's gonna turn to Shade and he's gonna say, "What exactly was that thing?"
I'm going to use my infinite knowledge and say it was a.
It was a poltergeist, which is a subset of specter, generally formed when something dies violently without being able to protect a specific location. So, where specters are always violently killed, they have one overriding motive, and that's what enables them to channel all of their spiritual energy into moving things in the physical realm. Poltergeists specifically are territorial, as opposed to other types of specters like whites, which might be more like, I need to kill everything that comes down this hallway. A poltergeist is, I need to keep everything out of this area. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Totally.
You're gonna see Thidriel sit down, take a long gulp of his jug, and he turns to just to the party and says, "I need to get back to my dad's home." And he looks like he's almost turned like ghost white.
Looks like he's seen a ghost.
Like, yeah, like if everyone would ask him, he's gonna believe that his dead father, there was a room that he couldn't get into in his dad's home, and he's gonna believe that his father is like in this room as a poltergeist.
Okay.
Just
Shade,
just
roll,
random stuff I'm adding to my story, you know.
Shade, roll religion or arcana for me.
Sure.
Can I search for something specifically magical? If there's anything magical in here?
Roll arcana for me.
And then I will be walking around just with my symbol out and a little bit of holy water, just sprinkling the place with it slightly.
Okay. Shade, you don't see anything. Trey, you don't see anything. However, Shade, if you're going to spend like a solid hour in here, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You are able to find what looks like a... I'm going to say like a tiny wooden mallet. Like, those mallets that you get that they're like rawhide, like wrapped around in a circle, so you can like tap on metal implements and not harm them.
Yeah. Yep.
So you find one of those, and it has all up the side of it. It says Vazuk on both sides. It's clearly like a prized object. It's hanging on a wall in a bedroom. It's not like anywhere near a work table.
All right.
And based on your just your general knowledge of how death works as a Grave Domain cleric, you think that this might be the item that's tied to the poltergeist. So this would be what you have to lay to rest.
All right. I'll go ahead and take it with me, and
Okay.
next time we get back to the temple, I'll ask, see if he's laid to rest in that temple.
Yeah. So the ghost is dispersed. It's not going to come back for, it would take it 5 years
Yeah.
to come back. But if you want to once and for all lay it to rest, you'd have to return this to the catacombs at some point. Is that fair?
Yep, totally.
Okay. I don't have an item for that. Just keep it in mind.
Will do.
Trey, you didn't see anything magical in here. Was anybody doing regular just perception rolls?
I was. I'm just basically looking through here, looking for anything
Yeah.
worthwhile taking.
Okay.
Same. I didn't know if it was going to take a roll, but yeah.
Yeah, you can roll, Halvin. Shadira got a 21 on there. Tidril, go ahead and play that.
Sorry, I was typing something out. I didn't fully listen. What was going on?
I said so you guys just watched Tidril like kind of look around and be like, "Stop it!" out loud.
Oh, yeah. So I've taken a sip of my alcohol and all of a sudden I look like confused and I look at the jug and I kind of look like up like around again. I'm just like, stop it. And then I return to like taking another sip of the jug. Like it's not deterring me from drinking at all.
Okay.
Like he's like out of character. He's never had somebody just talk in his voice before, and Trey has never made mention to me that this is him that's like sending this voice to him. So he just like he just thinks it's the alcohol, just like and he's talking about the things that he's just talking about. So it's his conscience, and he doesn't like it.
Okay. Halvin, there's no need to replace any part of your tools as of yet. You haven't done anything with them that would cause them to break. However,
Right. No.
you can, for free, take a set of Leatherworkers tools +1. You're not proficient in them, but you can own them if you would like to.
Sure, I'll take them.
You can take proficiencies at different levels if you feel like it. I'm
Yeah.
just saying these tools are like very specific to leatherworking. There's like punches and dies and cutters and that kind of thing. It's not necessarily going to help you for metal. It could help you with tinkering.
Right. And really what I was thinking about, this guy being a master, he may have a tool where I'm like, that's a master tool. That's not just
Well,
your ordinary.
Right, and that's what I was saying is that it's leatherworking +1 as a tool set.
Okay.
But depending on what you're trying to tinker, if it's more leather than metal or cloth or whatever, I would allow you to use that bonus as well. So go ahead and give yourself an item of leatherworking tools. It should be in the items list for you. And then just put +1 after it in the descriptor, and we can figure out your stats later. Is that fair?
Sure is.
Okay. So who was it that had the banging perception? Was that Shadira?
That was me, yes indeed.
Okay. So you see, underneath the desk that Halvin is like collecting all these tools from, he picks up a specific leatherworking punch, which is, it kind of looks like a screwdriver, right? Like there's a handle and a metal rod, but instead of having a head on it, it's hollow at the end. And looking inside, there are 4 like stems, like cruciform, like little things. And this is a type of leatherworking punch. It would be used for like decorative stuff. But looking at the floor, you see a hole on the floor that's the same diameter as the exact thing that Halvin happens to have in his hand right now.
Can I borrow that for a second, Halvin, please?
Sure.
Okay. Handing the tool to Shadira, you put it down into the hole and kind of like fiddle with it loosely a little bit, and you feel it kind of click into place. And you turn it, and you turn it again, and a little panel goes pop and clicks up like half an inch from the floor. So if you remove the screwdriver, you'll be able to pull open this panel in the floor.
I'm heading the punch back to the Caliban and
Okay.
lifting up the pedal.
Okay. Opening
Thank
the
you.
panel, you're gonna find a small Zirkwood chest in there. It is not really locked. It's got a clasp on it instead of a lock.
I'm lifting it out and opening it.
Okay, and this is I'm talking when I say small, I mean it's 6 inches by 3 inches by 4 inches, or it's a little arch top chest, but it's for small valuables, like a jewelry chest almost. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you open it up, and it holds 8 tiny rubies, and they are worth about 250 gold each to your keen appraisal skills.
Nice. Very nice.
The Zirkwood chest itself has no value to you. It's old and scuffed up a lot. It's clearly just a money box.
Well, taking the
And-
rubies out.
Okay.
Openly taking them out so that people see me taking them out.
Okay.
Got
I
some
mean, you're
rubies.
under the desk, but people can see you're clearly doing something. So.
If I wanted to, I could have palmed a couple of them, but I don't actually want to steal any of them.
Okay. So 8 tiny rubies, and again, these are very nice rubies. It's the kind of thing that a leather worker would use in very high-paying customer type. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm gonna make a leather wrap for a sword hilt for a wealthy client. It needs to have rubies embedded around the edge, that kind of thing. So they're very high quality.
Well, as I said, showing them to people as they come out. Well, we've got some rubies.
All right, so that's it. You've got your 8 tiny rubies. You have completed the Vazuk encounter. If you guys just want to say, we can gloss over the heading back to the catacombs and entombing the little hammer, just to kind of finish off that storyline. Is that good for everybody?
Works for me.
Sure.
Sure. I'm sure. I'm assuming Thidriel and Trey are kind of walking towards the back, just kind of finishing up their conversation as this happens.
Yeah. So, are you guys all reading this conversation between Trey and Thidriel?
No, I'm not.
Do you guys want to kind of act it out a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I can always act stuff out, of course.
So Trey
yeah.
comes over and sits down next to Thidriel after he kind of poked around the room half-heartedly.
Yeah, so I unravel my jug a little bit and say it helps, but it also hurts. I hear voices in my head. I'm assuming it's my father's. I don't know what his actual voice sounds like.
Trey doesn't take the jug and just keeps staring forward. The voices never stop.
You keep mentioning these voices. What voices? Do you hear are your parents dead too?
I never knew my parents. All the voices. You just hear one?
Yeah, it just said death is just the step in life. It's just a step in life. It's only the same voice that I've heard a couple times, and it's only happened in the last couple weeks. The first time it happened wasn't that long ago. What do your voices tell you to do? Mine can be encouraging at times, at least.
My voices just tell me how things work. How to look at things differently.
Well, that doesn't sound too bad.
Perhaps. But I get the feeling I'm still a slave. I don't like that.
Does it give you ultimatums?
None yet. But I feel it's implied.
I guess the last question, do any of the voices stand out?
They all stand out. It takes everything in me to drown them out just to walk, just to sleep.
I'll kind of put my arm around his shoulder at this point because he's came and sat down by me a couple times.
And
So
yes.
so I feel like I'm getting more of a bond with Trey a little bit. And I'll just say, well, if you ever need a friendly voice, you can always hear mine.
And I will use Awaken Mind and put it in his head and go sing for you.
And I'll kind of look at him and I'll give him that smile, like okay, I get it. That because I recognize the voice. I'm assuming you're doing that.
It's the
so
same voice. You haven't heard the. Yeah.
So I'll look at it and I'll be like, okay, so I'll kind of like look at him and thank him for the words of encouragement about my dead father with the death is just a step in life thing, and I feel like my bond has definitely grown more with him. He definitely won't freak out the next time that voice is heard in his head.
All right. So you turn in your quest. You guys have done some stuff. You've RP'd a little bit together. It's pretty much the end of the day now. Because by the time you got to the temple and then back to Vazik's house and then back to the temple and talked to Warden Jadger and all that kind of stuff, we're just going to say that's the end of the day. So I would like everybody to make a persuasion roll.
Sure. My last bit of RB for the day will be something I'm going to start doing every night now because I didn't realize as in a character that it would be empty when I woke up in the morning. The last thing I'm always going to do before bed is completely drink the rest of my jug, no matter how much is left.
Okay.
Persuasion, you say? Yay.
Oh, persuasion. I did perception.
Yeah, just persuasion and only for the PCs. This is basically your roll to see like what your influence is with how many of the citizens you've talked to and what kind of good you've done and whatnot.
Sure. And I'm assuming we have pluses based off of what we
I
did.
I actually have like a running tally in my head of how many pluses there are to this because it's an overall score instead of an average score, which I realize isn't common, but that's how I do it.
No, that's good because my 9 is not very good.
And while we're in town, I'll be probably doing 4 to 6 hours dancing in the tavern of an evening.
You can do 3. That's it. So before you go to bed, you can do 3 more hours, which means you're gonna get 45 more gold.
Every time he goes to do that, I will offer for Trey and everybody else in the party to come with me to watch him dance.
Okay, and they can choose to accept or not. Shadira, so I'm gonna quick time this for you. You don't need to do the rolls. You're gonna get the 45 straight because any extra that you would have made is going towards covering your meals and such.
Okay, not a problem.
Just the first night it was a whole thing. After that, it's like, oh, did you see that? No, I didn't see it. Oh, it was great. This and this and this and this and this happened. So where you're doing your most impressive stuff is at the Singing Stones. This is more just a show for the crowd kind of deal. And again, you're making 45 gold a night. That's not nothing.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all.
Yeah, but that'll be a flat rate. So go ahead and take 45 gold for the night. You guys all get your food, and you all get a long rest. And
I just want to. Can I just roleplay one more thing with you real quick?
Go for
just because I need to know where the story goes in my head as well. At some point, walking back, Thidriel is gonna want to find Shushar. Shushar hasn't come back to the party. He stayed meditating, so he would probably go to try to find him. I don't know if Shushar would actually come back with him. But Thidriel is going to go and kind of try to make a little bit of amends. He's probably going to stand like maybe he would actually leave Trey after that conversation.
Okay.
Go try to find him and maybe spend a little bit of time meditating with him before going back to the rest of the party.
So just one-on-one Thidriel and Shushar.
Just meditating side by side in that area.
So what would Shushar say to you? Because he's going to tell you why he's mad. He's not going to hang on to it.
No, of course not. Shushar, I think the first thing Shushar would do is he would ask why. He would ask why I feel the need to drown my pure thoughts in this, in this impure substance. I would then explain to him about my father being a dwarf, and how he came from a family of brewers. That's what they were. It's kind of in my blood. Um, and I would explain to him that this alcoholic, this ale recipe is the only thing that I have of my father. I never got a chance to meet him. I would tell him the entire story of it all. And I would say that, in drinking this alcohol, it brings me closer to him and to my family, which is all lost. Which is why I try to share it with everybody, because I want the world to be my family now. And I try to share that through my father's brew.
Okay, so you're being honest about not the point is not to be drunk, the point is to drink the drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Which is
so
why it
roll-
doesn't fully like the day that I got it, I drank too much. Even today, you didn't see me drinking it too much today. That was kind of the one-time thing of getting super super hammered. I needed to get that out of my system, kind of thing.
So the reason I asked you why is deception versus persuasion. So you're going to go ahead and roll
Sure.
persuasion for this.
Sure.
He's 100% with you, man. He gets it. He's a little bit. He's not like embarrassed, but he is mildly apologetic for misunderstanding you, that kind of thing. And I would say you guys are pretty tight again if you want to be.
And I'm going to turn around and say, listen, Shushar, I understand that you will never my drink, and I respect that, so I will never offer it to you like I do the rest, but I do consider you my family as well, I'll say to him. And I feel at that point we would kind of hug, and then he would follow me back to the party.
Okay.
Or follow me back.
So one thing that I'll tell you while we're having this conversation, Dark Lake is known for its dark beer that it produces. So it is entirely possible that Shushar does enjoy a beer, just he would never intentionally get inebriated.
Okay. Well, at that point, then maybe he says that one day I'll ask you for a drink.
Yeah, like he would be able to appreciate the flavor. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
Anybody else have any RP notes before we end for the night?
Yeah.
Okay, Shade.
So, while Shadir is dancing and all that, I will have stepped away and gone back to the temple, just to help out with the small things. Glyphic seems like he's totally overwhelmed, and kind of just not necessarily try to convert him to my god, just do one of those. Help out another cleric in need, and just someone who he can unload on, who's at his level.
Absolutely, and he is. I'm going to tell you this right now. Trying to convert him is a non-starter. He's never going.
Yeah.
He's all about it, but anybody who's willing to help him out from a religious bent, he's also all about that. So your help will be very much appreciated.
So, and even doing the healings when it's like, oh yeah, they'll be fine. You know what? I have an extra spell slot. Cast heal and all at one time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So there are, let's say, like 3 people in the room. So you can like burn a couple spell slots helping them out and that kind of thing. You don't need to use any consumables, but I'm just going to say this is the end of the day. You're going to burn your spell slots before your long rest. Is that pretty much where you're at?
Yeah.
Or you want to like keep one in reserve or something?
I'd say, well, generally I would assume I could do 2 prayers of healing, which would give all 3 of 2d6 plus 8. So that's, let's see.
Well, looking at it right now, you used 0 of your spells today. No, you used one level spell.
I used 1, yeah.
Detect Evil and Good. So you could easily burn your other 3 first level spells, and if anything wakes you up in the night, you'd still have 2 first level spell or 2 second level spell slots to use, right?
Yeah, totally.
So does that seem reasonable to you that you would do that kind
totally.
of thing? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So let's say you burn your other 3 first level spell slots before you go to bed. Just healing people that were at the staging area, and also one of the victims was attacked by an ooze in the Trader's Grotto. That the guards of Blingdenstone managed to put it down shortly after that, but there was like one of the traders got his arm eaten away halfway by acid, and you were able to heal that.
Okay, cool.
just to kind of add a little bit more flavor to this story. And you would, I'm assuming, share that with your comrades the next time you see them.
Oh, most definitely.
Anything? Well, Topsy and Turvy do not come back tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and say they don't come back tonight. They
Alright.
will show up in the morning and tell you what they found. Does that sound good?
Cool. Yep, totally fair.
But Pito, he's good.
Yep.
And Shade, you're good with just being a cleric, helping out, doing
Yep.
your thing.
That works for me.
Okay. Let's take it again. And anybody else? Halavin, did you have something?
Yes, and one thing just pointing out kind of selfishly because I rolled so crappy on the roll, but for increasing standing with the populace, just pointing out the folk hero background with the rustic hospitality. Maybe that gives it a little edge. Don't know.
Yeah. Rustic hospitality is more of you could find somewhere to sleep with the poor folk, which you don't really need right now.
No, I know, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but and honestly, like, this is a group effort. So because you succeeded tonight, your reputation with Blingdenstone increases. There's nothing. It's a pass-fail type deal. So remind me of that before tomorrow night, in game time, and I will give you a bonus for that because I have numbers for all this stuff in my head.
Okay.
It didn't go into tonight's calculations, but it didn't need to because you still succeeded. If all the rolls are crappy tomorrow, it might be a big deal. So just keep it in mind. Remind me.
Right. And then as far as when they were talking about wanting access to this workshop back, kind of playing off of that, finding out who is it that's driving to get back into this workshop and talk to them about, is there anything I can do to help get it set back up and get it running again?
Okay. So you've removed the tools themselves, the leatherworking tools themselves, but the bottom floor of the house, like the top floor was the living quarters, and the bottom floor there was just the kitchen down here, and then the rest of the space was basically a giant master level workshop, right? Like all benches, and like there's hoods for exhaust, and there's a flame pit thing where he used to cure leather but could be converted for silversmithing or jeweling. Not blacksmithing per se, but most of the other like light work type stuff. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you want to go to the regents, I'm just going to call them the regents from now on, the people that run the place.
Sure.
And let them know that you cleared out Vazuk's house for use by whatever. They will not only be ecstatic, but they will also give you a small reward, because since nobody lives there, it reverts to them in terms of ownership of the property, and they can then like rent it out as a timeshare for the various crafters and whatnot, and improve the level of crafting for the whole city.
Okay. Cool.
So go ahead and take 50 gold as your reward for that. Shade, gotcha. And I will RP that with you in text chat later.
Works for me.
Anyone else have anything?
No, I
Going back
think
over
Elvith
my
is
armor.
is going to stay just kind of helping out the people until she tires out, and then she'll come back to the room.
Yeah, that tracks.
Real pay that she really needs to have. I think if anything, she's kind of pulling away from the party a little bit. I think she. I don't know.
Okay, so you're going with like kind of a like on a out of context level. Like you're going with a kind of like survivor skill, like charging in, being a little more aggressive than normal kind of thing for her.
Yeah, like it's either like fight or flight right now with her. If that makes sense. So I'm trying
It's
to
your character, man.
no, I know. By the end of next, or by the start of next session, I'll have decided what the conversation she'll have with Idriel or the rest of the party to kind of make that decision of hers if she's gonna try to make her way back home from here.
Okay.
If she's got her provisions and stuff like that, or if we're going to be able to convince her to come with us. So I'll figure out her RP for that.
Okay, and I encourage you guys, as I always have, please talk to me about what you're feeling for your characters, for your NPCs, everybody that you're in charge of. If we lose an NPC, like I don't care if we lose an NPC. Right now, you have frickin' 100 people in your party. Like, if we lose a few of those, you're not gonna die immediately. Like,
Yeah, like if,
you know,
if I had rolled a poor persuasion check on there, like Shushar was gonna leave the party at that point if he didn't understand and stuff like that.
okay.
He would have stayed in his meditation. So yeah, I know what you're saying. At this point, we're at a safe place. This is where, this is the first chance where the NPCs would really have to actually break off on their own if they wanted. I feel like so that's why I kind of played that into this session.
And also, if there's an NPC that you just are having a rough time with and you want to kill him off, let me know, because we're gonna have to RP the crap out of it. But I will do that. So just hit me up by private message and we can talk about all of this stuff. I realize I put a lot on you guys. I am so grateful that you're up to the task. It seems, and really just like fantastic freaking job as always to all of you.